All right, welcome everybody. Let's call the meeting to order at 6:18 p.m. Item number 2, thank you everyone for coming to today's Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council meeting. My name is Gabriel Callan, and I'm the president of the council. I have a few announcements to make. This meeting is being recorded and the recording will be available on our PRNC YouTube page as well as our webpage, prnc.org. All meeting attendees will be automatically muted when they join the meeting. Attendees may address the board in one of two situations. Number 1, comment on an agenda item, or number 2, provide general public comment. After each agenda item is read out loud and before board vote is taken on any item, I will ask if any member of the public wishes to address the board regarding the agenda item being considered. At that time, the meeting attendees can electronically raise their hand to speak by pressing *9 if they are using a telephone for audio, or clicking the raise your hand button on Zoom. That will prompt the president that you wish to speak. I will go down the list of those who raise their hand, turn on their audio one at a time, and ask him or her to go ahead and provide comment within a specific period of time. When the speaker's time expires, I'll let the speaker know that their time has expired, thank them for the comment, and turn off the audio for that speaker. This process will continue until all attendees who raised their hands spoke. At that time, the board will discuss the motion and take a vote if they choose so. As noted in the meeting agenda, there is an item dedicated to public comment on items not on the agenda, but within the purview of the board. When the item comes up during the course of the meeting, I will ask if any member of the public wishes to address the board regarding any issues that is not on the agenda, but is within the domain of the board's actions and capabilities. At that time, the meeting attendees can electronically raise their hand to speak using the same procedures described previously. Please note that under the Brown Act, the board is prevented from discussing or acting on a matter that is brought to its attention during general public comment period. However, the issue raised by a member of the public may become the subject of a future board meeting. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per speaker unless adjusted by the presiding officer at his or her discretion. All right, let me see if anybody else is here from our board and I'll continue. Nope, let's continue. Item number 3, roll call. Christine?
Oh, I'll take it.
Or
I'm Becky.
Becky?
We have one vacant position, so there'll be no notation for that. David Balin.
Here.
Okay. Hilda Sarkeesian.
Here.
Jason Hector.
Absent at the moment.
Absent. Luis Ramirez.
Here.
Becky Levesque present. Brandy Grace.
Yep.
Here. Jennifer is not here. Boss Singh is absent. Christine Demerchian is present, and Gabriel Conley.
Here. So
Okay.
looks like we have a quorum. Perfect. We have,
7 are here and 3 are absent.
you got it. Perfect. Let's move on to the next agenda item, which is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand.
Yay!
Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of
Of
America
America and
and
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible, and justice
with
for
liberty
all.
and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tatiana. All right. Let's move on to the next item, which is President's comments and updates. I do have a few announcements to make. I want to start off by thanking CD12, LAFD, LAPD, and all other agencies who put on the National Night Out. It was very successful and very well appreciated. I just want to thank everybody who helped out. Item number 2 is that the Socalgas Project that was supposed to start taking place this month on Wilbur west of Chatsworth has been postponed until next year. And more information will be coming, and I have the gas company that will come and discuss the matter before the project begins before next year. So that way anybody can ask some questions if they have any. I believe they're changing some layers of piping or metal piping covers or something like that. Next item is the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control has confirmed the first mosquito sample to test positive for West Nile virus in the community of Porter Ranch. The mosquito samples were collected in traps on July 28th. District staff will be placing posters around the trap locations to advise residents to use precautions when mosquitoes are present. And to find out the West Nile activity through our state, you can go to westnile.ca.gov. And there should be a news press release going out this week, from my understanding, from Vector Control. And then next item is the application deadline for the vacant seat was extended to September 14, 2022. And we'll be voting on a new member on October 12, 2022. And last but not least, the Chair of Public Safety has set up Assemblywoman Suzette's office to come and give us updates regarding the Reseda Boulevard exit that's been shut. And that will fall on our next item anyways. So we can go on to the next item. Let me check if any other board members are here. With no other new board members present, let's move on to the next item.
Gabriel, I have a question during
Yes,
your
sir.
president's comment.
Go for it.
Thank you. Would you like to enlighten the community as well as the other board members? You, Becky Levesque, and Hilda took a meeting with Councilman John Lee's office, as well as the mayor running, Mr. Caruso. Can you elaborate on that for the community, please?
Pretty much we were invited to go there and hear what he had to say. And he pretty much gave a speech, and that was pretty much it.
Then my only question is, you were invited. Why wasn't that brought to the board before you attended?
Why wasn't it? Because we were invited personally about it.
So you went as council members, correct?
No.
Correct.
Yes, you did. You were wearing your badges.
I went as president, correct, and the other two board members were there as themselves.
And that's all you have to say on that? Thank you.
Correct. Thank you. Let's move on to the next item. Updates from representatives of elected officials of city departments. Who is here from the city or any offices, please? Diana, thank you. Diana, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. It was great seeing some of you guys at the LAPD National Night Out. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Diana, and I'm from Assemblywoman Suzette Valadares' office. I just have a couple of things I want to go over. Last month, the Assemblywoman was on summer recess. Session started again back up this month, but it is ending at the end of August. I will have a better update on whichever bills passed at the next meeting, as some of our bills are still alive and going through committees. In the district, we held a grant writing webinar. If you missed it and are still interested, it is on the Assemblywoman's YouTube channel. And lastly, I wanted to go over the Reseda Boulevard exit a bit and give you guys an update. So Anthony in our office is taking the lead on this. Unfortunately, he's out this week, and otherwise he'd be giving this update, but he gave me the briefing, so I just wanted to let you guys know. First off, as many of you know, the Reseda exit had a leaking drainage pipe under the ramp that was causing the exit to sink. Caltrans made the decision to close the exit due to danger, and it was dangerous. They had to close it, and they closed it without really a plan moving forward. So during this time, for the last couple of months, Caltrans has been going back and forth with the LA City Bureau of Engineering.
So where'd you go? You're back. I see you.
Sorry,
You're
hello,
back.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So Caltrans has been going back and forth with the City Bureau of Engineering to submit permits to start working on this exit. Both agencies are blaming each other, as the city says the permits are incomplete, and Caltrans says that the city is requiring new information every time they enter a permit for approval. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bureaucratic issues going on. The Assemblywoman is aware of the issue and has advised us to do anything we can to try to get this exit to open. This is one of the top priorities of our office, and we talk to both agencies almost every day. I know Councilmember Lee's office is doing everything they can in their power to try to get these permits through as well. As of right now, and a more positive update, that Caltrans believes that the recent permit request will go through. There's a lot of back and forth with our office, but we were able to successfully get a public information officer from Caltrans to attend your next board meeting on September 14th. And they'll be able to answer all questions and give you a more detailed background on what's going on. They are confident that their permit will be approved by then, and they're will be able to order the supplies. I hope that supply chain issues will not affect them, but as of right now, they are still confident that the 6-month closure that is still on schedule, which will mean that the exit will be open by October or November. And yeah, I'll try to answer your questions as best I can, but this is Anthony's project. So if I can't answer it, I'll just send it over to him and he'll get back to you guys.
Thank you, Diana. Any questions?
I have
Vicky?
one. Is it going to be, are you October, November of this year in 2022?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, they're confident that everything is still on schedule. So we're hoping that's going to be open soon. I know it's a big issue for a lot of people since that's the exit they're taking to go home, and especially at 5 o'clock when there's a lot of traffic. So
just to let you know that I've been in touch also with all of the people, Caltrans, and they're scheduled to speak at our meeting next month and give us an update. So hopefully that will occur. And the people in Porter Ranch, nobody knows, you know, I don't want people getting upset because they've closed it down for safety purposes. So thank you for coming and explaining it to us.
Thank you, Becky. I see a attendee with a question. Actually, that just probably has to speak next. Any other comments or questions for Diana? That's it. Thank you, Diana. Are you going to stick around?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Next is Jared. 1 second. Promote as panelist. And the floor is yours once you get transferred in.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. As always, it's always a fun meeting with you guys. So I just wanted to give a quick couple updates from the Congressman's office on some bills that have both been introduced and voted on. I'll start with some of the introduced bills. First on the list here is the Safe Schools Act. That's a bill that would allow for the remaining $150 billion in COVID-19 aid that schools have received to be used for school safety measures. These measures include reinforcing doors, locks, and windows, implementing a single entry protocol, and hiring armed school resource officers, or SROs. Another bill that was introduced was the Strengthening School Security for Students Act. This bill would distribute federal funds to schools for hiring and training of at least 2 armed SROs per 500 students. The cost of this would be offset by rescinding approximately $140 billion in unused COVID-19 funding from the American Rescue Plan. A couple of the bills that the Congressman voted on, he was a yes vote on HR 6583. That was the Active School Shooter Alert Act. That bill would establish a DOJ position that will encourage states and localities to adopt robust active shooter alert programs for their communities. The Congressman voted in favor of this as he believes the bill would help improve public safety. The Congressman was a yes vote on the CHIPS bill. That's been one of the big ones in the news recently. And he was a yes vote on this because he believes it would provide critical support to US-based semiconductor manufacturers to resolve supply chain pressures that we're currently seeing and ramp up on competition with China. And then the Congressman was a yes vote on HR 4040. That's the Advancing Telehealth Beyond COVID-19 Act, as this would make permanent some beneficial telehealth practices for Medicare. The Congressman was also a yes vote on HR 263, and this was known as the Big Cat Public Safety Act. And he was a yes vote on this because it would enact much needed restrictions on the sale and breeding of big cats to protect the public. And then moving on to some of the co-sponsored bills as of late, the Congressman was co-sponsor on HR 7630. That's the Childhood Cancer Star Reauthorization Act. This is a bill that would reauthorize programs from this comprehensive childhood cancer grant bill for an additional 5 years. And then another co-sponsored bill was 8528, and that's a bill that would promote election integrity by removing federal impediments to providing state tools for establishing voluntary considerations to support effective state administration of federal elections. And then just a quick update on what's going on here in the district. The Congressman's office, we're currently putting together with the Congressman's schedule some town hall events. I believe 2 of them may be virtual and 1 of them in person. We're still trying to work on the dates and the location for the in-person one. But hopefully I'll have some more information come next month on that. And if anything comes out sooner, I'll be sure to let you guys know via email. So, and then of course, if anybody has any comments, questions, concerns, you're always welcome to reach out to our office and the Congressman's website at mikegarcia.house.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board or comments? We have one. Brandy, floor is yours.
Can I put something rather disturbing on your radar?
Sure.
I'll try to word this carefully because
Okay.
we're public. I recently discovered that in various states, so we have no federal law protection on this, boys, and I mean children, who are forced into sexual encounters, even with adult women, that result in pregnancies. Those young boys are still forced to pay child support, even as children.
Wow. Okay.
So might want to look into that one.
Absolutely. I'll be happy to bring that up. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you, Brandy. Any other comments from the board? Any comments or questions of the attendees? With no further comments or questions, thank you for coming. Thank you to Congressman Garcia for everything he's doing.
Absolutely.
And
thank you, guys.
you're always welcome. I actually see a hand up. 1 second. Okay. That's not for your next agenda item.
Got it.
Perfect.
Well, thank you guys
for
very
coming.
much. I'll be sticking around. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item is updates from LAPD Devonshire senior lead officers. I wanted to welcome our new senior lead officer, Efron Corral. He will be replacing Danny Devaya as our SLO for west portions of Porter Ranch as well as Chatsworth. Let me bring him in and we can welcome him. 1 second, please. Officer Corral, are you here? There you
Hey,
are. Welcome.
good evening, everybody.
How you
I
doing?
see, excellent, excellent. I see quite a few rememberable faces and names. So first of all, if you don't know me, my name is Efren Corral. I'm a senior lead officer for the Los Angeles Police Department, Devonshire Division. I've been a senior lead officer for almost 7 years. Prior to this, I handled the North Hills area. Recently, it was decided by our captain at Devonshire Division to make some changes due to the fact that Senior Lead Officer Danny Delvalle will be retiring soon. So she made the change and put me into this coveted spot of the Chatsworth and Porter Ranch areas for Devonshire Division. So I'm a resident of the San Fernando Valley. Actually, I'm a resident of Porter Ranch. So this position is personal for me. So when you're getting from me, you're getting a person who is a tax-paying citizen who lives in and around this area and is devoted. So when I, in the police department, have a positive influence on our community, it's because we are, to say the least, we're passionate about that. Because my tax dollars are going into this as well. So, I have a vested interest, just like each and every single person that's on this call right here and now. So I'm new to the position. If I don't know you, please, reach out to me. I put my contact information in the comments of the webinar here. So please reach out to me. If you don't get my updates via email, please reach out to me. I can add you to my updates because I periodically put out, crime information, crime statistics, and any information that's very pertinent for the Chatsworth and the Porter Ranch area. So I just wanted to introduce myself to you. I can really give you a quick update in regards to our statistics because I do have that with me. So just like every part of the city of Los Angeles, the Porter Ranch and the Chatsworth area have seen significant increases in criminal activity in regards to year to date compared to last year. In every category of violent crime and every category of property crimes, we've seen a double-digit increases for the Porter Ranch area. And overall, year to date, crime and overall all the crime is up 24.7% in our area. So one thing that I want to touch on is that a lot of the issues and concerns which were brought up 2 years ago, which forced our city council to withdraw $150 million worth of funding for our budget. We're now seeing the impacts of those specific moves by our city leaders. There's less officers on the street. Retirements, like Officer Davalle, retirements are up, but there's no officers to replace those retiring people. Once the mayor approved those $150 million that came out of our budget, the police department's academy stopped. We had no academy classes for about a year. So that means that we have 1 year, we're 1 year behind of our academy, replacing officers who are retiring, leaving for other reasons or whatever. So the shortage is real. The shortage on the streets, response time is up. So they're taking, officers from certain, parts of the city and just putting Band-Aids over, the problems. So one thing you highlighted, you saw on the news the other day when all the problems and issues in Hollywood, because, the crime was up in the entertainment district of Hollywood. So they devoted 200 officers to try to help resolve the crime issues in the Hollywood Walk of Fame area. Well, I just showed you our statistics. We're not getting any help. We're not going to get 200 officers to help with the Porter Ranch area to reduce our crime and all the issues that we have. So the problem is real. And one of the things that was kind of when I was listening earlier with the elected officials updates, all the funding for putting police officers in schools and stuff like that. LAUSD school board voted during this couple of years back to have no uniformed police officers on campuses. So you have a devoted police department for all of our schools in LAUSD, and they're forced to be off campus. They won't allow them to be on campus unless there's a call for service for them to be there. So those issues are real. The issues that were addressed, in all of the, nationwide, like Uvalde, Texas, where that situation unfortunately happened at a school, that's what highlights the importance of police presence in and around the schools. And our school boards said, we don't want no police officers present. So my son goes to LAUSD, you see it. There's no police presence on campus or off. Use, for example, Porter Ranch Community School. We start Monday, and everyone here knows that the Porter Ranch area, that Cessnon and Mason is just going to be, a SIG alert at beginning of school and at the end of the school. So with the lowered resources and police presence in and around that area, we can try to, prevent the issues and concerns which impact our, schools and our local communities. But all we could do is try. But with lowered resources, I hope we don't have an incident where one of our children gets hit or a person gets hit in and around our schools, because it's a huge problem. My son has gone there for a long time, and I know there's a lot of the board members that have children that go there as well. So it's a huge, huge issue. So we'll do what we can to address that issue and the other issues concerning the Porter Ranch area. So I've already talked a long time, so I'll open it up for questions. If anyone has any issues or concerns for me, you can email me directly. That way we don't take up the minutes for the board here.
Thank you, sir. I know I see two board questions. David Balin, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Efren, my friend, how are you? Nice that you're we love having you as our senior
Good.
lead. We're proud to have you. You've always done a great job,
Yes.
even when you weren't here. So thank you. I just wanted to follow up on something because
Thank you. I'm
I've been
proud to be
seeing
here.
thank you. I've been seeing a lot of cadets. I don't know if you want to call them cadets, but new officers that are in training. I could honestly say that I've probably seen about 10 to 12 new faces. So do we have new officers that are being trained in our community? Because I don't want the community to think that, yes, we're depleting from the lack of resources that we've received, but I don't want the community to think that we don't have new officers coming on board, because I think we had a class that maybe have graduated. Can you enlighten on that, please? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My pleasure. So that year's worth of where we had no people in the police academy being trained, that was done the first year. So we're starting to get new recruits out into the streets, and so we're starting to get just a little relief. But just to let you know, it takes a year for a police officer to go through the academy. Once they get out of the academy, they go to their respective divisions of their assignment. Once they get there, they have another year, which they're assigned probation, which are assigned to a senior officer, where they go through training. So it takes 2 years basically to get all the training necessary to be a functioning police officer, and where you can go on and do what police activities by yourself. So it takes 2 years once you start the academy to the base point where you end. And Devonshire is, we had a little. So how it happens is we have 21 divisions in the city of Los Angeles. If there's like 30, police officers graduating from one class, they send them all over the city. We just had a graduating class will be coming up in 2 weeks, I think it is, and Devonshire won't be getting any. So, they send some here, they send some there, they send some here, they send some there, and we haven't had any in a couple months. So, yes, we have a lot of rookies that are here at Devonshire. I think it's right around 10 or 12 new rookie officers who are in training here at Devonshire. But we also have a lot of new officers that have come and chosen to work Devonshire Division. So you've seen a lot of new faces. I see a lot of new faces, which I haven't seen for a long time. But it's good though. You get new officers in, you get fresh blood, people wanting to work, and that's how we drive down that 24% of crime increase. So, with all the issues that have happened the last 2 years, your police department is devoted to each and every single one of you. And we're proactive, and we're trying to make sure that everyone knows that we're trying our best with a little bit of resources which we have.
Thank you.
Sure.
Becky?
Hi, Officer Corral.
Hi, Becky.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. Pleasure.
Pleasure as always. It's a couple questions that you can probably answer in a sentence or two, and I'll make it real fast. First of all, has Devonshire Division lost officers per 1,000 people? Because I know that Porter Ranch, for instance, we've added a lot of people to our population with all of the building. That's one question. How many officers per 1,000 in the city of LA, and how many officers per 1,000 in Devonshire? And as far as response time for LA Unified compared to response time for LAPD, what is the response time, let's say, on a crime in Porter Ranch?
Okay, so you put me on the spot, Becky, and oh my goodness, I don't know if I have all this correct information for you, but I'm going to try. So I know Devonshire Division has roughly around 250 to 300 officers assigned to our area. And with a division which has over 53 square miles, which is the largest police division in the city of Los Angeles compared to other parts of the city, I'm going to throw out Rampart. Rampart has 8 miles, which their division encompasses. And I guarantee you they have more police officers than we do, just because in the Echo Park area and down there's crime ridden. There's a lot more significant issues, shootings and stuff like that, which requires a large mass amount of police officers. Here in Devonshire Division, you don't get the significant issues, like you have down at Central Division or the shootings and stuff like that. But we have that stuff here, So that doesn't say that it doesn't happen here. But in regards to Devonshire Division, our response time is significantly more compared to all the other divisions, because it doesn't take, in the city of Los Angeles, the chief has established a 7-minute response time. Anything under 8 minutes is a passing grade, I should say. Anything over 8 minutes is a failing grade. And the last time I remember, it was last week when we hit the mark of 8.6, which is 8 minutes, 0.6 seconds, you know? So we had a failing grade there. Why? Because we have 53 square miles with limited officers to respond all over the place. So our response time is low, you know, it is not as low as it needs to be. So in regards to the school police response time, I don't work for the Los Angeles School Police because I can't attest to that. But I could tell you, like, let's say if something happens at Porter Ranch Community School, Porter Ranch Community School is going to dial 911. That goes to our communications. You're going to get the LAPD response right away. So, and they'll also have LA School Police respond as well. I guarantee you, if something happens, our police officers will be there before anyone else, unless there's a school police officer in and around that area, you know. But the more than likely that they're not, because you don't see them in and around that areas. They have specific areas which they need to be doing. But our patrol officers are always in the division, always roaming. And if that call for help comes out at one of our schools, you're going to get the response from our department, and we'll be quick. If a significant incident happens, you're going to get a mass response of police officers, and it's going to be a huge amount of police officers from all over the city. So rest assured that, you know, you don't see police officers on campus, but if something happens, it's going to be a mass response from, you know, one of the largest police agencies in the United States and the world, you know. So all I can say is I can attest to our training in situations which happen in Texas, and it's unfortunate what happened, you know, but we're all trained the same. And I think we're all trained the same nationwide as well. And I'm sure those people in Texas got the same type of training we got to, because when Columbine happened, that changed the mold for everything. We have a standard response. If something's happening, you got to go in and take care of business. But that did not happen. And it's unfortunate. But that's how we're trained. And all I could do is, you know, say that our officers are trained a certain way, and you'll get a certain response each and every time.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Brandy?
Hello, and welcome to our wonderful SLO. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Brandy.
I'm just kind of curious about how things must have changed in, I don't know if it's the way we allocate officers or how we train them, because I've been looking at the numbers, and according to LAPD site in 2020, we had about 10,000 full-time sworn officers, like 9,970 something. And in 2000, when crime rates were much lower, we had far fewer at only 9,300 officers. So if we had lower crime rates and fewer officers in the early 2000s, and then in the 90s, we had even fewer officers and higher crime rates. So it doesn't seem to have a one-to-one cause in that. Is it just different in how we're allocating them, that the number of officers being higher isn't correlating with lower rates of crime in the 2020s? Is there something?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Brandon, for that question, because it needs to be addressed. You know, when COVID hit, everyone was forced in their homes. Crime went down to like a low of all lows in the city of Los Angeles, like historic lows. In Devonshire Division, it went down to like a snail's pace. It was like nothing was going on here. You know, all the people were home. So that means people were home. So people couldn't burglarize your home when you're not, and when you're at work. So, you know, all the property crimes went down low, violent crime went down low. And here at Devonshire, we had historic low crimes. So we're still at really low levels compared to in the, you know, I'd say in the early 2000s, when the crime was up there pretty good. We would average in like in the early 2000s, we would average right around like 100 crimes per week. You know, right now, we're right around the 60s or 70s in Devonshire Division per week. So even though we're starting to feel the effects. That's the reason why we're at, like, you know, for our area, we're at 24% increase in crime. That's compared to last year at this time. So crime was really down then, and now we're starting to go back up, you know, so that's why you're seeing a really inflated, you know, statistical, you know, categories here for all of our crimes. So, but yes, and that's the main reason. When COVID hit, no one was out on the streets, and here was pictures of, you know, downtown where there's no one on the freeways, pictures of Hollywood with no one out, no cars out on the street, just the police cars. So that is the reason why we had historic low crime at that period of time. Now we're starting to rebound. Boom. So that's the reason why.
I see. So the inflated crime rates are because they're compared against when everybody was stuck at home and not committing crime.
Exactly.
Right.
And,
okay.
And how we do our statistics, we compare it to our previous year. So everything right now is being compared to 2021 numbers where everything was down. And that's why you're seeing it's starting to come up, because, you know, everyone's getting back to normal, a little bit of normalcy, even though we're not at normal. So.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you compare the numbers of 2018, are we about the same, or 2019?
With crime rate?
Yeah, pre-COVID versus now.
I'd say we're still way down, to say the least, because I remember like a really heavy week back in those days, meaning heavy week, meaning a lot of crime. We would be up 120, 130 crimes per week here in Devonshire Division. So like I said, we're like at 60s and the 70s right now. So we're like at halfway. You know, once we get back to full bore, it's going to be double what I told you.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sure.
I have one question from an attendee, Ron Nagai. The floor is yours. Ron?
I'm sorry, I had to unmute. Hello, everybody. Officer, I don't know if congratulations is in order, but we're sure glad you're here. And I hope this works out for you, because we really do need the help. I had a couple of comments. First of all, the communities that were all out for defunding the police continue to get an inordinate amount of time and resources from LAPD from our area to fight crime that has risen because of this defunding the police nonsense. And what have the neighborhood councils in the northwest area of the valley joined hands and as a group gone down to City Hall and say, we demand that we do not defund the police. We're a silent voice. The media, to the media, we're invisible. They never hear from us. They only hear from the 100 or so people that show up at these meetings and say defund the police. They don't hear from us. So have the neighborhood councils join hands, and we all go down to City Hall and we march down there and say we want more police, and we don't want a misallocation of resources to those communities who don't want LAPD. We love LAPD in this end of the valley. And we want, and so before it was based on the amount of crime, which you're still using, and technically that makes sense. Although they use the same argument for street sweeping and everything else, which doesn't work. We all should get the same amount of street sweeping. There's no a basis for giving more to downtown than here. There's a reason for that, but we'll get into that some other day. But the long and the short of it is, have the neighborhood councils join hands, groups of us, to go down to City Hall for a rally and say, you know what, we're tired of this defunding the police, and now you need to hear from the majority of people out here who love LAPD and want more resources going to LAPD. That's one thing. That's more of a question for the neighborhood council. But the other issue is, years and years ago, when I was heavily involved in the community, we had street racing on Cessna. And at that time, LAPD was strapped because they had so many other issues to deal with. They couldn't allocate resources to street racing. So I reached out to the LA Sheriff's Department. And the reason why I did is they have a metro line on Rinaldi. And can we get, and I know there's jurisdictional issues. I know this is LAPD territory, but we're desperate. Can you, LA Sheriff's Department, do anything, because you monitor that bus line along Rinaldi? They said yes. And they went out and did a bust on Cessna And of course, you know, there was some kind of uproar between LAPD and the sheriff's department that you're not supposed to be doing that and all. But the street racing stopped because LAPD all of a sudden said, well, we're not going to be upstaged by the sheriff's department. And both departments went after these guys. And what I heard was the cars were confiscated for crushing, which is another thing that I want to ask about. But can we, because of our dire need here, can we do a join hands type thing and have the two departments working with each other to stop this nonsense on the street around Cessna and Mason and other parts of Porter Ranch? I would love to have only LAPD do it, but if you cannot do it because of resources, we have to find other means. Also, if we cannot get fully trained officers, what do we need to do as a community to not only continue an aggressive recruitment of LAPD officers, but also start a paraprofessional division of LAPD? And I hate to use this word because I know people don't like to hear it, but private security under the jurisdiction of LAPD to be the eyes and ears in our community patrolling here. They don't have the same arrest abilities as the regular trained officers, but people who can radio in right away and say, hey, this has got to stop. We've got this crime and that crime over there, can respond to something. And just like what the volunteer surveillance team does. But to get something going in that regard, I'm wondering, so those two things, what do we need to do to start a discussion about maybe a different way of doing this?
Right. So, man, I lost fingers on how many questions you told me to answer. So I'm going off the top of my head of if I can remember correctly. If I leave something out, let me know. So first of all, we are blessed, to say the least, to live in Council District 12. Our council member, John Lee, is the most pro-police council person on the city council, to say the least. He is passionate about making sure that we have everything and then some to do whatever we need to do. In regards to that, he funds, overtime details here at Devonshire Division, violent crime, to address the violent crime suppression related task force, impound task force, in order to take care of all the quality of life issues here in Devonshire Division. Our council member Lee, funds that stuff. That way we bring in officers on an overtime basis to do these details, which helps to drive away the crime in our area. So that's one of the things that we're doing outside of the box in order to, and that's directly associated with Councilmember Lee. In regards to working with the Sheriff's Department, we don't intermix, agencies like that. And in the past, what you're talking about, the Sheriff's Department was responsible for the buses within the city of Los Angeles. That's not the case anymore. All the bus lines in the city of Los Angeles are policed by LAPD. So that's why you never see the Sheriff's Department in and around our Porter Ranch area anymore, because LAPD took over that contract and we're responsible for all the buses in the Orange Line and everything like that, the Chatsworth train station. That falls under the umbrella of LAPD now. So in regards to the street racing on Cessna, we're working on that. We had the Valley Traffic Division here in the San Fernando Valley has a street racing task force, and they've been working on that problem for us. The problem is knowing where these people are at all the times, or when they're going to be there. Sometimes it's during the daytime. Sometimes it's at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we all hear it. I hear it. I walk outside, I hear it right here. But I know a lot of the problem are the people that live up here as well. You see Lamborghinis flying by all the time. I'm like, that's not a street racer. That takes a lot of money to have a Lamborghini like that. So
that is a street racer.
Yeah. So some of the problems up here are definitely associated with that. But it's being worked. You'll see motor officers along Cessna or all the impacted areas, and that is that's a street racing task force. But they lost a lot of their officers when 2 years ago happened. So we're really lucky to have them at all. So there are only like 4 officers assigned to the street race task force. And yes, they do anything and everything they can to make sure that our issues and concerns are addressed. And a lot of that is impounding the rides, which are causing the problems and racing. So we're doing what we can with little resources, just like you said. And here in Devonshire Division, we're lucky to have, the most volunteers in the city. Like our division is probably well over 200 volunteers, which directly, are a force multiplier for our uniformed police officers. We have a volunteer surveillance team which goes out in their own cars and uses radios to call on police officers when they see something that's going on. That's something that is unprecedented in the whole city. We're the only ones that have something like that here in Devonshire. We have the Volunteer Citizens Patrol, which drives around and makes sure that in our areas which are, impacted, like daytime burglaries, which pushes the criminals and the bad guys out of our area because they see, a visible presence coming down the street. So we have so many volunteers, and volunteers are so, essential for Devonshire Division, and that's why we're successful. That's why we're able to do what we have with 250 officers assigned, uniform officers. And just let you know, also, our detectives are like half staffed right now. So we usually have, a whole, like 30 detectives. We're like a half of that. So when a crime happens and it needs to be investigated, there's a time lapse which is associated with that. So, it's not just the uniform presence on the streets. It's, the detectives doing the follow-up investigation and the filing of the cases, which is, significantly impacted because they're low staffed as well. So, I'm not making excuses for anything. We're still accountable to respond to your needs and address your needs, and I can assist you with anything and everything like that. But everyone is working, doing multiple tasks, and this is how it is. In regards to, let me tell you the way LAPD handles things. If there's a need somewhere in the city, they take a little bit of officers from everywhere and send them there. Tuesday, I got sent downtown to be a part of a task force which handled the city council meeting. You saw it on TV where everyone was protesting against the new homeless situation around our city schools. And that's the first time I've ever been involved where I've seen, our city council almost like the January 6th situation where people were just, protested to the point where it got out of control. We sent officers in there with riot gear to force them out of the city building onto the street. First time ever, never happened before. So those are the situations but all that was done with officers from other divisions. So I had 2 meetings planned for our Tuesday. I had to cancel everything and push aside, and boom, downtown. So that's how things are done. You find out the day before or the day of, and hey, we're going, down to 77th Division to help out with this. Boom, we're gone. Everything's canceled. So my senior lead duties are automatically pushed aside. And we're one of we're the first officers at Devonshire Division to get assigned to go. So if something would have happened today, I would have had to cancel out on this. I couldn't be a part of this, and so this is part of my job. That way, is working with the community. So that's how the shorthandedness is affecting, and the impact of the whole entire city, especially a community in Porter Ranch who property taxes probably fund a large majority of our city resources because we pay the highest property taxes in the city. So it's unfortunate, but yes. And also there was a study done a couple of years ago because Devonshire has grown so much, up in the Porter Ranch area with all the new houses and everything. Like our population has probably, grown significantly since the last time there was a readjusting of the police department. And that's what they were trying to look at to see if, the population is way too much for the amount of officers that we had. And hopefully that would have given us more police officers in the street, but nothing has been done just because the lack of resources. So I think the city was trying to address that, but a couple of years ago, a lot of the funds were taken out of our, away from the police department. So I hope I answered all your questions, Ron. And if
Can
you have anything,
can I just follow up with two quick?
yeah,
First one is, about 6 months ago, there was a senior lead that stood in for Del Valle, and he was gonna get back to us on street cameras like they're doing on Melrose. And there's another community, I think, in one of the west side areas. And I never heard back, and I did send an email and a phone voicemail to Devonshire regarding that, and never heard back anything. So if you possibly can let us know how we can request a set of street cameras through the neighborhood council to be positioned in those troubled areas so we can see when this kind of nonsense is going on. And the second quick one is, years ago, when we put an end to the street racing for a while, we had this car crushing law that we were taking advantage of, confiscating vehicles. Where is that today? Because I see what's going on the 6th Street Bridge, and we have a mayor who is so soft on crime, and we have a county supervisor now that is so soft on crime and very high on defunding the police. We need some other kind of resource. So do we need to have political pressure put on these elected officials that we want the car crushing to come back, and then we also want the street cameras?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, sir. This is an important year. You know, we have an election coming up in November, and we will be getting a new mayor. So it's really, really important for our community members to get out and vote. That way we put the right person in that place. Because let me tell you how the police department works. The chief of police is an appointed person by the mayor. So what the mayor wants, he tells the chief of police, and if the chief of police doesn't follow those orders, they're obviously going to be gone. So the mayor and the chief of police are always going to be on the same page. So it's really important to get someone in there who wants to address the issues. Homeless is a significant problem for the city of Los Angeles. We have rules on the books that we can enforce, but we've been basically told not to do that because our mayor has a certain stance on that. So it's really important to get out and vote, put the right person in place, and that way our elected officials can have the voice of you, the elected, people who are putting them in there. So in regards to cameras, that's police department has nothing to do with that. I tell you that right now. I have no idea where you need to start with that. Probably going to be Public Works or Department of Transportation, who handles all the street lights and the cameras and stuff like that. So, and police, and there's, I know there's areas of the city that has cameras, and I know, and specifically Watts has cameras all over, in the projects. And before they had officers monitoring the cameras, and when a crime happens, they respond and they dispatch officers, but that doesn't happen anymore. There's no one sitting in there watching cameras anymore because we don't have the staffing anymore. So
NBC had an LAPD officer on TV along with the citizens on Melrose, and they say you need to work with us on getting your cameras. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah,
it was
honestly,
LAPD spokesperson.
Yeah, so all I can say is the LAPD is not going to put out the money to put cameras in.
No. But to sign off on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It has to be brought to our attention, and then I don't know how that happens. So all I can tell you, there's no cameras in this Devonshire division that is monitored by the police department.
Okay, well, by way of this meeting, I'm requesting the neighborhood council if they can do what Melrose did, and maybe we can follow up on that.
Because you got to understand that the cameras and all that stuff that takes the technology for that, it's really expensive, and it's only be coming out of private funds, which is probably the Melrose district and the Hollywood Entertainment District has the money to buy that and purchase all that stuff. That way, the police officers can, the police department can staff it. But it costs a whole heck of a lot of money to purchase all that stuff, which, it's not going to be done by the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you, Officer Carl.
Thank you.
We have to move on. I know Becky had a question, and then we'll move on.
Very quickly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Your basic car meetings, are you doing in-person meetings?
No, we're still doing virtual, just like you all.
Okay, okay.
So for now, we're going to stick with that. And there's no meeting for the month of August. We're going to resume in September. So and I'll let the board know of when that meeting will it be. It's usually going to be the third Thursday. We're going to change it. It's going to be the third Thursday of the month. It's going to be, so we're going to make that change. That way, hopefully we can get, back up and running. So.
Okay, and we'll get together and set up a public safety meeting for Porter Ranch.
Let's do it.
Get a hold of you, okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here, and you're always welcome. Are you going to be able to come every month whenever you can?
I'll try.
Okay,
it's as long as you guys keep doing the Zoom, it makes it easier for us to attend.
Okay, so I'll leave you on agenda for next month as well.
Yeah, please do that, and I'll do whatever I can to make sure that I'm there.
Thank you, sir. And we'll stay in touch. I appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. All right. Let's move on to the next agenda item, which is updates from Chatsworth Port Ranch Chamber. Anyone here from Chatsworth Port Ranch Chamber, please raise your hand. I know Jerry was supposed to show up. I'm not sure if she's here or not.
I think they have a meeting tonight.
Do they? Okay, I'll table this temporarily. We'll come back to it just in case if the times didn't work out.
Hey, Gabriel.
Yes, sir.
Since there's no one here from the Chatsworth Chamber, we had a meeting with the Chatsworth Chamber 2 weeks ago, and we tried to get together. That way we can meet with our business owners of Chatsworth, because there are so many issues and concerns with the homeless and the problems and how it's impacting our commercial buildings. So we didn't really have that big of attendance. We had one host at a business in Chatsworth, and that was basically the only attendee, because apparently a lot of the chambers of commerce had COVID or something like that. So if we can continue our work relationship, our work relationship with our commercial businesses are so essential.
Of course.
And we need to keep that going. And if anyone who owns a business in the Porter Ranch area, please contact me, and I do whatever I can to make sure that the quality of life issues are not impacting our businesses here.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next agenda item, which is public comments on items not on the agenda, but within the purview of the board. I have Patty. Patty, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just want to ask, since I haven't heard any updates, what's the update on the ET Park renaming?
I have not received updates on that as well. I know it's with Recs and Parks, and as soon as there's more information, we'll put it in our newsletter. I'm hoping it's within the next 2 or 3 months, but I asked for information recently and have not heard back.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I was hoping it would be already, because my daughter, who's a big movie buff fan like me, is moving to the East Coast this week, and I was hoping to take her to it. So yeah, I feel sad about that.
Totally feel you on that. I was hoping as well. I was hoping it'll be in the summer, not in the middle of winter.
Yeah. So thank you for the update.
Thank you. I'll definitely stay in touch with the community as soon as there's information.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. 1 second. All right, next is John Hales. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Gabriel, thank
Yes,
you
sir.
for what you do.
Thank you.
Just a quick notice with Northridge South, we've begun formulating a plan to put together for our veterans. We started 6 months ago looking at ways that we can post flags, banners, etc. And we found out that District 12, Matthew V, was deep in on that project. So we started to work with him. But as we all know, he moved to the East Coast and the project was kind of dropped. On the National Night Out, I spoke with Hannah Lee. She was keenly interested in getting that started up with all the 10 neighborhood councils to review, possibly get involved in posting banners, thanking all 5 services. Initially, we wanted to get names of veterans so we could post those. but they're not available for various reasons. So right now, just kind of giving you a heads up, we'll be reaching out to you in the weeks ahead. We want to post a banner for all the services, thanking the veterans for what they do. And it is something that we feel very strongly about. And Hannah Lee said that she, with Matthew leaving, she's going to figure out one of her field deputies that'll take this project on. We'll be then reaching out to the neighborhood councils to see who wants to get involved with posting the banners in your particular areas, et cetera. So thank you for the time. I look forward to bringing that back up to you.
Thank you, John. Stay in touch with me as soon as there's more information.
You bet.
Thank you. Glenn Bailey, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Wasn't planning to speak on this, but I decided I shall.
Okay.
So Glenn Bailey, public comment, non-agenda items. So your last meeting that was held on the first Thursday of the month on July 7th was not your regular second Wednesday. Therefore, it was at an earlier time, different date, different day. And when I discovered that, I did send an email to Gabriel, the president, copied the board. I don't know if you were notified by your NEA, if you were notified by NC support, et cetera. I did that on my own time. I'm not a board member. I did it as a courtesy, just to inform, going forward, that meetings that are other than your agreed to date, time, and no location, because it's virtual. But if there were a change of location when you're in person, that needs to be noted as a special meeting. And I was a bit concerned about the reply I received from Gabriel, which apparently was copied to the board because there was at least one board member who also chimed in on a reply. And I, of course, do want to thank Gabriel for all that he, and for that matter, all the neighborhood councils do, and all the board members do for the hours that they contribute. But just note that my effort was also a contribution to volunteer, and it's not my job to do that. But I received comments from your stakeholders about what's going on, why aren't, and then I looked at it, right? I didn't initiate this, other folks initiated it. So I'm not sure, Gabriel, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt in terms of your comments back to me. But I just want you to know that that is why, and that was the spirit in which it was communicated. And hopefully everyone does know, moving forward, for all neighborhood councils, but also other people need to do their jobs too. The people who post the agendas at NC support, the neighborhood empowerment advocate who support the neighborhood councils. I mean, all these folks are all seeing the agendas, and they need to make sure that, we're complying with the Brown Act and we're noticing things properly, et cetera, et cetera. And again, there was no question or problem with the meeting. It was just how the agenda was done. I made that really clear in my communication. It was just, triggered there. If you don't do it now, it's not, while you're thinking about it, it's not going to be done. So I just wanted to clear the air on that. And again, I'm assuming that all the board members received it. And I just thought this was important. This is not just a conversation between Gabriel and myself. It's, the whole board. And for that matter, the other folks who are listening who also have a responsibility on this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Just want to clarify what happened, just in case you don't know. I did post the agenda, did give the proper notice, except it was a special meeting. The word special was missing. Looked like it was a general meeting. It should have said the word special there. So Glenn emailed us specifying that the word was missing. And I appreciate that he did. Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah. And again, it wasn't just you. When NC support put it out through the early notification system, they should have put it in the subject line as special meeting, right?
Special, correct.
So that folks know, it's like, hey, is this happening? Just so folks know what's going on. Special is kind of a red flag in the neighborhood council world, because it's either, in your case, it was to take the place of your regular meeting, but for some neighborhood councils, they do special meetings in addition to their regular meeting.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for listening.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Oh, let's move on. Let's move on to item number 11. Actually, no, item number 10, budget advocates. Brian Allen. Let's bring you in. Brian, the floor is yours once you're in.
Okay, thank
Here
you.
Thank
Sorry
you.
for that delay, but
No
whenever
worries.
you move people back and forth, it does take some time, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you again. And for those of you that don't know me, I think most of you do know me. I'm Brian Allen. I am a member of the Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council. There are 3 budget advocates for this territory. I know that you're well aware of Glenn. Glenn is still a budget advocate, and he is a budget advocate for Region 3. There is a new budget advocate for Region 2, that is Scott Wright from Northridge South, and Gary is still also a budget advocate for Region 2. There isn't much to tell you right now. The budget advocates are just starting out. We are trying to move forward rapidly. There's some business that the budget advocates have to repair with Dunn and their financial operations, and how we are provided money and how it is used, and that is in process. There's efforts going on to try and solve that issue. I'm sure some of you have heard about it. The budget advocates will have a retreat on the 20th of August. You're certainly welcome to attend that, anyone that wants to. And it is, you can find the link to that on our website at budgetadvocates.org. And other than that, everything is just beginning. I don't know, Glenn may also have some information that I'm leaving out, but I certainly would be willing to take any issues and bring them to the budget advocates if you have them. It's always true. I say that every time, and I certainly look forward to anybody bringing us information. And other than that, I think we're moving on.
Excellent. Any questions or comments for budget advocates or Brian?
By the way, who are your budget reps as we sit today? I think David was one at one point.
I think it's Jason and Jennifer, isn't it? Or I believe it's Jennifer and Jason.
Jennifer and Jason. Okay.
Right.
I will take that information and pass it along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the next agenda item, which is updates from CAG. Raise your hand, CAG members, and let me reorganize the room real quick. Do we have anybody from CAG here? Craig? You have something to add? Patty has something to add. Go ahead, Patty.
Yeah, I don't know what to update because we still haven't heard anything. We're out of the loop, but I was hoping to hear what Craig had to say, so I don't know where he is.
Gotcha. I see him in the room.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't want to
let him
bring him
talk.
in. I don't want to bring him in until he raises his hand just in case. If he's not there, just want to make sure. Let me jump over this temporarily as well. We'll come back to it. Let's go to the treasurer reports and etc. All right, let's table the CAG updates for 1 or 2 agenda items. Next one is treasurer report. Our treasurer is not here, but let me pull it up on our website real quick. Can you see the graphs? Okay, 1 second. All right, so we had a budget of 32,000. We've used 6901 so far, and our net available right now is $25,098. And I don't believe the rollover funds have been added to this number yet. because I believe the 32,000 was the actual number plus rollover, and rollovers kick in possibly next month. So look at it as we have 25,000 plus rollover funds at the moment of time. Are there any questions regarding this?
I have one.
1 second. Who said that?
Becky,
Becky, go ahead.
I see the gross numbers, but, or the net, how do we break it down?
6901, what we have done right now.
Well, not just by group, but like, what have we paid? Who have we
Credit card,
paid it
okay,
to?
Here are the credit card transactions. We have our storage 173. USPS, the mailbox we have is 432. This was the 3,931 we spent on outreach for all the, the fans and all the giveaways we have. And then this was the NPG for the fireworks, I believe, 2,500 for Shepherd.
Okay.
And the rest is pretty much constant contact, which is our email server. The rest is all storage.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Brad.
Is that, what's the
Go
last expense we had? August 1st, the storage? place?
Last one is storage, August 1st, correct.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Brandy.
Sorry, my connection kind of bounced for a few minutes. Were you saying that we have to spend 25,000 or lose it, or was that part of the role?
We just got the budget. This expires end of July, end of June of next year. So we have $25,000 left right now.
Okay, cool.
To spend for this
the year.
fiscal year.
Okay, thank
Plus whatever rolls over, which is not reflecting yet on our end.
you. How much are we expecting the rollover to be?
The rollover, I believe, was about 6,000 to 7,000 approximately.
I'll have about 30,000 for the year.
Something like that is what we have right now.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. All right, let's move on to item number 13. It's motion to approve the June 2022 MER. I do have the attachment for that. This is the June. These are our last year's numbers, obviously. We had 16,000. We spent in June the 5135. These were outstanding. All this have changed, obviously, now because we're in a new fiscal year. So in June, this is what we spent, the storage again, the constant contact. This 2,500 was did end up paying in August. As you saw in the last report, we have Wendy Moore, this was multiple months paid at the same time. And then the Chamber of Port Ranch, Chamber of Commerce, this was in the directory. We had a small ad placed in there, and then this is an old NPG. This was outstanding. I'm not sure it got paid or not. We can find out in the July one in a few moments. Any questions?
I have one.
Yes.
I see two, City of LA, two expenditures of $500 each. What's that for? We
This
haven't,
was neighborhood of Congress. One was from the year before. I believe that was not charged, and then one was a new one.
and when is the Congress for Neighborhoods event? Is this for the one coming up? This is for the one that we talked about at the last.
Correct. The
meeting
one that
where
Voss.
They never
Voss was
took it
taking
out
care
of
of.
our budget.
Correct. This is it.
Okay, and then the second one is for the upcoming Congress.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. If no further question, oh, there's a question from.
Wait, there's
attendee.
three $500 things for the,
There,
oh
I
no,
see
I'm
there's
sorry. I'm sorry.
two.
Forgive me.
And I see Craig with his hand up. We'll go to Craig right after the MERs are done. Let's make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the June 2022 MER.
I'll second it.
Thank you, David.
What item number is it?
This is item number 13.
Okay,
You want to call the vote, Becky?
I'll call for the vote. It's a motion to approve the monthly expenditure report
Correct.
submitted by Mr. Jason Hector and according to attachment A.
Correct. And Gabriel made the motion, David seconded, and you can just call them. for vote.
Okay, and David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda, Socalgas?
Yes.
Okay, Jason is absent. Luis?
Yes.
Thank you. And I will vote yes. Becky Levesque, Brandy Grace,
Yes.
and Jennifer is absent. And Voss is absent, and Christine,
Yes.
and Gabriel.
Yes,
Okay, motion passes.
thank you. It's 7-3.
And
3 absent, 7 yeses. Thank you. Let's move on to next item, which is a motion to approve July 2022 MER. Let me pull it up real quick. Okay, this is pretty much what we discussed literally a few minutes ago on the treasurer's report, which showed the community, actually, 1 second. There you go, the storage that we talked about, the $4,000 outreach, the post office, and Apple $192. We did, this check did go out for $2,000 for the CERT classes or the CERT class bags. That was funded. It has not been cashed yet, to my understanding. And that's pretty much it. Is there a receipt for the mailbox, $432?
is that for the year?
Yes. I remember good old days, it used to cost $120.
Mhm. You were really little.
Here's the invoice for imprint. Pretty much the bottles we received, the tape measures, the bags, the pens, which a lot of you saw, or whoever was at the last event. The clips, the chips clips, you can call it, the notepads, the pill holders, and then the fans. Total came out to, after all the discounts and everything, $39.31.64. And then here are the Apple One for our note takers. This was for the May meetings. And these are other motions, pretty much it. Any questions?
Comments?
Questions or comments? Let me leave it
I
here.
just want to say that you did a great, our board did a great job with all of the things that we ordered for movie night out, and our booth, I think, was one of the busiest booths there the entire time.
Yeah, it was.
It was a great
was.
event. And
It was
Hilda,
successful.
you did a great job too.
It was successful. It was teamwork.
Mhm.
Exactly. Sounds good.
Let's vote.
Let's go. Let's call the vote on this one. So I'll make the motion to approve July 2022 MER. Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second it.
second it. Hilda, go ahead.
Hilda?
I'll
Thank
second
you.
it.
All right, Becky, you want to call the vote? So Gabriel
Okay.
made the motion, Hilda second.
All right, David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda,
Yes.
Mr. Hector is absent. Hold on a second here. Luis,
Yes.
and Becky Levesque, I'm a yes. Brandy Grace,
Yes, sorry, I was muted.
okay, and Jennifer is absent, and Voss is absent, and Christine,
Yes.
and Gabriel.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Once again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 yeses, 3 absences.
Yes.
All right, let's move back to the CAG report real quick. Let me get out of this page. So much going on my screen. 1 second, stop the share. All right, Craig, I'm gonna bring you in the room. So we're going back to tabled agenda item 11, which is updates from CAG. Craig, the floor is yours. Craig?
Okay, now I found the unmute button.
There you
So
go.
I apologize for not finding the mute button, and I also apologize for missing my slated time. I was
No
dealing
worries.
with a family emergency. The good news is I think it's going to be very brief tonight, and I'd rather just open it up to questions. But nothing has transpired from the CAG's perspective or the Department of Public Health's communication to the CAG since our last briefing. And if you recall, I really went out of my way to give everyone the very clear heads up that we are not on the path to get the clinical evaluations that all of the adjacent NCs to Aliso Canyon had demanded, as well as the CAG demanded unanimously. And with other more than 400 written requests to the Department of Public Health in response to what do they want in the health study, clinical was their top of mind. We do not see that as happening. I don't have any other information because if you recall, Department of Public Health got their bids in response to their request for proposals back in February, I think March, and they claim they're going to need the entire summer to review what I believe are no more than 3 applications. Why it's taking that long? We never got an answer for it. So I want to just punt it back to the board, ask if you have any questions, and see if there's an appetite still for clinical evaluations, because there may be some alternatives.
Thank you. Any questions from the board or comments? Going once, twice? Any comments or questions from the attendees? Very quiet. Craig, currently there's no updates for you. Oh, David Balin, go ahead, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm going to throw right back to Craig. Craig, enlighten us. What are the alternatives?
Yeah, so there is a group of us that are pursuing a true independent health study and a look at our communities. Progress is being made. We had a very productive conversation with some of you may be familiar with Physicians for Social Responsibility. And we met with some of the leadership and I should be more careful with the pronouns. That's EHR, that's Andrew, Brian Allen, and myself met with, and we had Dr. Nordella in on this call as well to share with the Physicians for Social Responsibility his initial findings. The bad news is that Physicians for Social Responsibility have been here before. There have been environmental exposures, and they have witnessed themselves the same treatment that we are getting from our government in that they are non-responsive. So we are still in the petri dish, if you will, on developing what the plan is, but we are seeking to pull together a steering committee of experts that will, and we're going to put independence as the most important thing, and start outlining exactly what a clinical evaluation would look like. What sample size do we need? What are we going to use for control groups? The prioritization might be pulmonary, then cardio, then mental health, or women's health, birth weights, things like that. So these things are being discussed. Funding will become absolutely key to getting this done, but I really urge all of you to consider that the agencies that are supposed to protect us have not and are not expected to. So if we want to do any of this, matters should be taken in our own hands, including hopefully the next discussion will be a very positive one in the air monitoring. I mean, this was in the hands of the regulatory bodies and it's still not done. And hopefully Don will have really good news for us. But I'm just using that as an illustrative point that it's not a shot at Don. It's illustrative point that the agencies are not doing what we had hoped and expected from day one. Sorry for a very long-winded answer, David.
Thank you, Craig. And yeah, just stay in touch with me or stay in touch with the board with anything you need from us. And we'll definitely be glad to help you.
Yeah, we'll need your support, guys. We will.
Definitely.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
And I'm
you.
available if anyone has questions anytime.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next agenda item, which is agenda item 15, community air monitoring updates. Dawn, are you here? There you are. I'm gonna bring you in as a panelist, Dawn. 1 second. Dawn, the floor is yours whenever you're connected.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
No problem. Welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me. And Craig, I think I do have some good news I'd love to share with you guys, and really hoping we can engage in, a really good conversation about where we are with the air monitoring equipment. So as just a very quick update, we're actually at a point where we continue to work on getting the actual air monitoring equipment that we want to install in Porter Ranch checked out and ready to deploy. When we started the project, we contacted all of the equipment suppliers and vendors and requested delivery dates. And kind of to be expected, in almost all the cases, everybody said, gosh, we have real supply chain issues. So we took that in hand and said, okay, let's get some backup equipment that we can supply as interim pieces of technology, so that we can get equipment out there as quickly as possible. And the good news is there were really just two systems that were really hit hard with that kind of thing. They're the fence line systems that are ultimately, we want to install them along Cessna, but we've actually got backup alternatives all ready to go. So, and the good news is the backlog on any of the supply stuff, getting the component parts, is now finished. And, those long-term solutions are getting solved, and things are, gonna move, I think, really quickly. As it stands, we have equipment that's available for every monitoring location we originally identified. And we're doing the final systems checks for those, and we're getting ready to get them actually deployed out in the field. The biggest challenge we're working with right now is still working with the various government agencies to work through things like getting right of access permits, power, dealing with power issues, siting issues, things like that. Really want to thank the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, Representative John Lee's office, and a lot of great community members within Porter Ranch in actually helping get that process expedited. Again, I'm meeting with every official I possibly can in the city government these days, trying to get everybody to work together, and it's really actually is coming along nicely. The one thing that kind of the Air District asked me to do, as we saw that these are issues that we still have to kind of deal with, is they said, Dawn and Argos, get creative. So that's what I want to do tonight, is maybe discuss with the neighbors and the people of Porter Ranch how to get creative here. So we've actually got a lot of air monitoring equipment now that is, like I said, within about 2 weeks of ready to be putting out in the field. What I'd like to see is if there's interest within the community, we kind of want to, we're calling this Adopt an Air Monitor program. So if there's anybody in the community who would be interested in hosting some of these technologies on a short-term basis until we can get the final, locations, all that solidified and the infrastructure put in, we'd love to put the stuff up as soon as we possibly can. A lot of this air monitoring equipment actually isn't very large. It's actually a relatively small footprint, plugs into a normal AC outlet. It automatically communicates to the web so that the data can be made available. We'd really love to see if we could get some people who would be willing to do that. And we'll do all the work to work with anybody who wants to actually get this system set up and deployed. The beauty of that is you guys will get equipment and you'll be monitoring for the things that worry you the most about Aliso Canyon. And we really want to make that the highest priority, is getting the information out to everybody. So I kind of want to leave it at that. I mean, we would love to engage anybody who might be interested, like I said, and we can provide all the information you need. We'll have a separate meeting with individuals just to make sure it's in the right place. Obviously, we don't want to set up a methane air monitoring system next to someone who has a barbecue. You know, that could create kind of messy results, but you know, it's easy enough to find really good locations and suitably put the stuff up. But I want to get the equipment out as quickly as I can, and I've got equipment ready to go, and we'd love to engage you guys.
Thank you, Don. What areas are you looking for? Do you have any street locations, etc., you're trying to concentrate on to find members within the community?
Well, you know, honestly, we want to cover the entire community, you know, so we're actually looking for anybody in any community. We'd like to at least start talking to them. We have locations. I mean, we kind of put together a grid for Porter Ranch itself. And like I said, I mean, we would be happy to just engage anybody. You know, I'd rather put stuff out at any place within Porter Ranch than have it sitting in my office.
Because I know we originally were talking about line of sight, the two sides or two beams, or the beam and the reflector. There was what, I think 5,000 or feet difference
Well,
between them.
And Gabe, what we're talking about here is stuff that's more, it's basically stuff people could set up in their backyard.
Okay.
So we don't really need that large infrastructure area. A lot of these pieces of technology are you know, the size of maybe 2 shoe boxes put together. And so it's small, it's portable. There is some bigger stuff if we could accommodate that. But, you know, we would just be happy to talk to anybody or any business, frankly, who might have a rooftop or something where we could actually set something up. And we do this on a short-term basis. And honestly, I mean, if they work out to be good enough locations, we're absolutely open to leaving them there. You know, I mean, we want to find the best solution for the community itself. We have always kind of decided to stick to public areas, but that doesn't need to be the case. We're doing a very similar project right now in Irvine, California, where we have identical systems set up in people's backyards, and the data is being reported to the community in real time. And it's nothing to it, you know, and it's great to actually have the community involved.
Thank you. And ones in the backyard is going to be in addition to the one on Cessnon, or just they're just taking place of each other?
Well, there was actually we're actually doing kind of two different things. Along Cessnon, those are going to be basically cover the fence line between the community of Porter Ranch and Aliso Canyon. Farther back, you know, I guess farther south, we are deploying a whole array of point monitor systems. And we have both of these types of technologies available, you know, right now if people wanted to host them. All of it can be put into someone's backyard. We're talking, you know, some of the systems are as small as, like I said, 2 shoe boxes. Other systems are very close to these fence line systems, we call them. We need a beam path that's about 20 feet long, you know, and again, these are not really obtrusive things. They don't have a big footprint, and we could certainly, with anybody who would be willing, we'll set up a meeting, show people the technologies, show, you know, how, where, and how it could be set up. And our installation teams are ready to go. You know, we've got people ready to be deployed, you know, in about 2 weeks, we'll have people, as many technologies as I can get out, I possibly want to do, so that we can get information to the community as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Don. I do see some questions. Becky, floor is yours.
Yeah, Dawn, when you say that you want them in Porter Ranch, what geographic area exactly are you talking about? I've heard you mention Cessnon, but Porter Ranch, we're a neighborhood council, but there's also an area outside of Porter Ranch that's called Porter Ranch. So if you could define what Porter Ranch means, is it part of Chatsworth? Is it part of Northridge? What is the geographic area?
Gabe, can you help me with this? I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
the nuances of the Porter Ranch map in your neighborhood.
My understanding is it's in our district. Everything goes in our district where our council is. So north of Rinaldi, and it's going to be between Mason and all the way down to Aliso.
Okay, so we're
It's
not monitoring Chatsworth or any of the other
No.
outlying areas.
He's concentrating right now on Cessnon. All of Cessnon is the goal, and as you said, number of point locations throughout between Cessnon and Rinaldi, and between Mason and Tampa, or Mason and Rinaldi, or Mason and Reseda. Sorry.
Well, we go by the canyon, so that probably from
Aliso to Browns Canyon.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. I do have questions from attendees. Let's go to John Hales. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Donald, a couple quick questions. First of all, this is very, very exciting. We're finally going to start getting some numbers to this above ground measurements. Funny question is, I've got 45 years with General Electric, et cetera. There's a dollar sign that has not been spoken to so far. Who's funding your project?
Well, this is all funded through, it's what's called a SEP agreement, and it's through South Coast Air Quality Management District.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. That's a good clarification. The second question, which is a little bit more succinct, we take care of a pocket park, and it's called Aliso Pocket Park. It is down the hill from Porter Ranch, but it's actually on the Aliso Creek. And in looking at the engineering diagrams, Aliso Creek comes from the area of Aliso Canyon. And the question that I had 2 months ago, and so far all of the state people and local people came back and just have a question. Nobody's tested the water coming out. We're looking above the ground, but we're not looking in the ground, because what goes above also goes below. And in that Canyon Creek, it goes all the way across the valley. They kind of looked at me like, DWP, all the different people just said, well, that's their problem, that's their problem. It just kind of puts a question up. Is anybody testing the water that's coming out of there? Because we look at people like Rocketdyne and those people, they're spending billions of dollars to correct the messes that they have all along those canyons, going all the way down to Burbank, that they discovered as poisoning the ground. Is anybody looking at the water?
Thank you for the questions. Yes. I really can't answer that. I'm an air guy,
right?
But I know lots of water people. If you want, I can give you my contact information, and we can search that information for you.
Okay.
Anything that's of concern to the community. I mean, at least the people I'm working with at the agencies are very concerned about answering these questions, even if the brutal answer is no, they're not. I can't really tell you that, but I certainly can get to the right people who can answer that question.
Well, we were, looking through the state agencies and state people. They all said the same thing, every one of them. Oh, the water's been tested. The water's been tested. There's no records to that effect anywhere in the system. So that's why I asked the question. I'd love it if you could give me your contact information.
Yeah, definitely. How do you want to do that, Gabe?
Do you want to give it to him live, or do you want to type it in question and answers, or?
I'll type it in question and answer. So if anybody
Awesome.
else
That's great.
has any, and like I said, if anybody's feeling, I don't ever think I've ever met someone in Porter Ranch who's like shy and intimidated. You can always come and just email me.
I don't think they allow people like that.
Whatever you want, and you know, we'll definitely do everything we possibly can.
Awesome. That's great. Go ahead, put it in the Q&A.
Yeah. So how do I do that?
Just click on Q&A and then you should be able to type.
I did. It says there's only hosts and panelists can see questions. I don't have a way of actually.
Because you're a panelist. Once I throw you in participants.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it then.
I put you over back in attendees. You might be able to ask the question.
Okay.
Once we're done.
I'll make sure my contact information gets out tonight for sure.
Perfect.
That's great.
Again,
Thank you.
We want to get this equipment out as quickly as possible. You know, nothing is more important in our lives than making sure this stuff gets there. The information is useful and you guys have access to it. That's what we want.
Thank you. I see Jason has his hand up and I have 3 attendees with hands up. Jason, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I was late to the meeting, but I'm here and I made it. And we could do the treasury report, but
It's done already.
yeah, no. Okay, cool. No, Don, I want to piggyback on what you're saying. I think Don is looking for somebody to foster this equipment. Think of it like a dog, right?
Yes,
Just fostering the dog for a few months till it gets a permanent home. So please support him, board members. I call upon you to host this equipment, and the boundaries are not important. You know, I know Becky was asking a question about the boundaries. I think it's just a matter of getting this equipment out into the community. He just said he has the equipment. So I ask, you know, board members and community members to do your part and get Don's information out to the community, but that's all. Thank you.
And quickly, I mean, the reason I could never foster dogs is because I would just keep them. So they don't allow
I did have
me
a
to
question
do
for you, Don. I'm
that.
sorry.
I would then become a dog hoarder. Okay, and we don't want air monitoring equipment hoarders, but that's still better to be a hoarder than to have them up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then is the equipment just methane, or like what is the equipment that you're looking for people to host? Is that be just methane monitors, or like what are the chemicals they're tracking?
So the smallest systems are methane only, but we also have ones that do benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, xylene, which is associated with, you know, if there is another blowout, we would want to have that benzene, especially information in real time and as quickly as possible. And that's actually what we've got at Irvine right now. We've got the 2 different systems already set up in people's yards. They're very happy about it. There's no issue. They love it. I mean, and frankly, what we can do with these information, we actually have routine meetings with them where we just look at the data and talk about it. You know, what we're seeing, you know, is there anything weird here? Is there any, you know, the issue down there is actually an asphalt plant. You know, but it's kind of the similar scenario as what you guys are experiencing. But we would, you know, depending on how much space we could get, we would certainly put up any piece of equipment we have. These things aren't giant footprints on any of them, but the methane ones are by far the smallest and easiest to set up.
You answered my question. Thank you. Perfect.
Let's move on to the next, Brian Allen. Brian Allen, the floor is yours.
Well, let me put it this way. Becky's question to me was apropos, very apropos. And I'm sorry, Jason, I disagree with you entirely. Boundaries do matter here. And my basic question is,
boundaries don't matter.
I said boundaries do matter. The issue I have is, or the question I have is, how far out from the blowout because, well, let me back up a second. That blowout did not blanket only Porter Ranch. It didn't stop at the borders of Porter Ranch. It blanketed San Fernando Valley. And I think it's very important to know how far out from that landfill, from that gas field, we are going to monitor the air. So that's my basic question. How far out are you looking to monitor?
Well, and again, you need to understand, we at Argos were, number one, there was only a certain amount of money for the project itself, which limits the amount of technologies that we can deploy. And we were given very specific guidance as to, where we could put it. And they really wanted that this project is very focused on Porter Ranch itself.
I don't recall the decree saying that it was limited, but you have $3 million on this project. And I still think that you're avoiding the question when you say it that way. I think it's very important for the community to know where the monitoring is going to be and how far away it's going to be, because it's more intense at the actual field. It's less intense as you go out. And it's very important to know how much actual pollution is being seen at various distances. So I'm sorry that I am very disappointed with your answer. And I think the community needs to get much more involved in addressing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Can I, Don, can they put monitors in Granada under this, or is it just limited to, like, is there a geographic area?
Well, there's kind of, again, the focus was supposed to be, specifically on the Porter Ranch neighborhoods. The beauty of the way this system is designed, it's very easy to add air monitors to them, to it. So it's easy enough to locate new systems if the funding becomes available to it. And I mean, it sounds, go ahead.
So Brian, are you offering to host a system in Granada Hills?
I wasn't talking about me. I wasn't addressing it as me. I'm addressing it as the community at large. That
or
is,
you or someone else in the community.
I mean, I don't care. I mean, I would. That's not the point. I'm not asking to. I'm asking for the community. This is a very dangerous situation that we suffered. And I'm looking to support the community in finding out what is going on and if there is any additional danger. And you can't tell that if you can't monitor the community at large. And the community is huge. Now, if somebody can show me in the decree where it says we are only going to monitor Porter Ranch for $3 million, I'll be happy to back off. But I do not believe it's there. I think what we're talking about is somebody has decided on their own, probably AQMD, I don't know who, that, oh, we're only going to limit it to here. And I find that appalling. That's all.
I think Don was saying he's looking for people to host these systems. That's what he was saying. He wasn't
looking at Porter Ranch. He's not looking at Chatsworth. He's not looking at Northridge. He's not looking at Granada Hills. He's not looking at North Hills. He's looking at Porter Ranch. And I think that's appalling.
I don't know about that.
If you don't mind, if I can share my screen.
Go ahead. You should be able to. If not, I can.
This might.
Let me see.
Let me see.
All participants, 1 second.
No, if you have to.
All right, you're allowed to.
Screen sharing. Okay. So this is, I believe you can see this. This is the map of where we're planning to put general vicinities of the air monitoring equipment. So right along Cessnan, which is the upper part, that's we're going to try to cover that with the open path air monitoring systems. And then farther south is where we're proposing to put the methane systems, as well as, well, the fence line systems do methane and VTEX. together. And then the systems below are set up to do, 2 of them are set up to do methane and BTEX, and 3 of them are just going to do methane only. This is the best of the best equipment you can possibly get, and it is not cheap. There is no way around it. None of this stuff is inexpensive. And so that really limits, I mean, the plan is we need 5 years of operation. And we need 5 years, you know, we need the equipment, and, you know, the budget was what we were given. And we've done the best we can with the budget that we have. But these are the places we would like to general vicinity to have people host, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we'll put them anywhere in this area as long, because again, it's better to have it out there than to not have it out at this point.
But can I just say to the point that I think Brian is making, when wind shifts, you know, you're looking at Granada Hills, you know, up here, and then Chatsworth to the,
Sure.
on the left, you know, and so that data is important. And I know Brian said I disagree with him, but I don't know. I don't know what your point is, Brian, but my point is, I thought I agree with you that, you know, Granada needs to be tracked and Chatsworth as well. And because the wind shifts, right? In the, you know, you have the onshore flow, and, you know, the natural wind patterns shift throughout the day. So that, you know, this looks all south to the south. This monitoring is to the south, which makes sense given the communities, but the wind does go, you know, east and west. And so that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if we had more monitors to put out, certainly we would expand this footprint out as far as we possibly could. You know, it's the plume is not fixated on Porter Ranch. It's just Porter Ranch is so close. You know, and again, this is based on all the work we did with the atmospheric science department at UCLA, and, you know, the people who are funding the project. This is, you know, what we figured out would be the best available solution for the resources that are committed. But like I said, the beauty of this system is we can drop a monitor anywhere and literally it will show up on the website as a new place. So there's plenty of room for expansion is if resources came available, for sure.
Thank you. I got Becky, and then after that it'll be Ron Nagai, and then we got Assad. Becky, floor is yours.
Hi, okay, Don, thanks. Can you put that map back on?
Sure.
Would you mind? Because one of the things, I have a couple of questions. You have fence line, baseline station, a reflector, methane, Porter Ranch methane, enhanced monitoring system. There's 5 different tags there. Is that where you're are those the monitors, and is that where you're proposing to put them? Because I noticed to the right of the map, there's a Liso Canyon, Lynn Canyon, there's the 118 freeway. It's primarily going along Cessna. And then there's a couple outside off of Cessna. Is that the plan?
Well, and the reason for doing
Well,
that.
no, I don't know. The reason is that the plan. What I'm looking at on here, is this where you want to put them?
Yes, and again, the issue is that the monitoring stations that are along Cessna, those are the ones that use light beams to measure the gases. And we want to make the path as long as we possibly can. And unfortunately, you people have picked a very hilly area to live. And it was extremely difficult to try to find paths that had a clear enough line of sight that would allow us to get the maximum amount of coverage along the fence line itself.
Now, when you say fence line, you're talking, is this Cessna that we're looking at?
Yeah.
And then we have the canyon here over to the east, and there's homes on the other side. That's Granada Hills.
Yeah.
So you're stopping it right at Granada Hill. And so basically you're focusing on the north part of Porter Ranch. So when you're asking for places to put these things, you don't need most of us. You just need the people along Cessna and maybe
Well, we
four
need,
other
but
people.
also anything south. Anything south, you know, the other ones, the ones that say methane enhanced monitoring station, basically anywhere on this map.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm
would
just
be
trying to understand
really,
where
really
you're
helpful.
going.
And we actually are more, sort of kind of more interested in the ones that are farther south. I don't want anybody to feel discouraged that we're, you know, it wouldn't be a good fit. No, they would, anywhere in this map would be a great fit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on. Next question is from Ron Nagai. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Don. A couple things. First of all, while I'm asking the question, just in case there's a glitch in putting your contact information in the Q&A, do you have a screen you can put up right now with your contact information?
Yeah, let me, hold on a minute. We can
Okay.
do that.
And while you're doing that, I had a question.
Sure.
There are a number of vents all over Porter Ranch that I guess they're exhausting any kind of buildup for the vaults and things under the street. Have you got anything monitoring the methane or any other gases coming out of those vents?
No, we can't get that close. I mean,
Okay.
we're the community air monitoring people.
Okay, no, I'm just asking you a question, you know, because I see these vents all over the community, and I was just wondering if a dangerous.
Oh, I see. So these are within the community?
Yes, you see them all over, right off the street, and all over Porter Ranch. They're like maybe about 3 feet tall and maybe about a foot wide. They're like silos, and they got, depending on how much gas they got to release, they've got 2, 3, 4 of them next to each other.
Well, why don't you, again, I'm about to put my contact information up. Send me an email with pictures of those, and we'll definitely go and explore and see what may or may not be there.
Do you have a phone number?
One of the most important things to do is to understand where all the potential sources might be. You know, so we can answer questions about what we like to answer is, because the one thing you're going to see when you get all of this information, sorry, if you ask me a question, I can't say anything short. But if, you know, we're going to end up with a ton of data. And what we want to answer is what we call the so what question. You know, we have all this information. What does it all mean? And if there are sources that are potentially there like that, we want to know that they're there so that we can investigate that, so that we have a better understanding of what the data means. So by all means, please contact me if you have anything of that kind of concern coming up.
Okay, do you also have a cell phone, a business cell phone we can text you at?
Sure, I'll put that up too. There we go.
Okay.
And I'll put this in the chat as well. Definitely want to.
Okay, and then if you decide you want to put one of these devices at your home, what kind of infrastructure do the homeowners need in terms of power and whatever else you would need?
It's depending on the technology, but it's absolutely minimal. It's basically just a standard outdoor light, you know, plug.
Okay,
that's it.
It's a 110, not a 220.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's really nothing to it.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all the systems that we're talking about are all designed that it would be very easy to install.
Okay, thank you very much, Don.
Thank you. Next person will be Assad. Give me one moment. Assad, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Don, for the update. I just wanted to add on what Don was saying. So basically, I received from Don a lot of the schematics and the equipment, and I've been reviewing it with my team all day today. And in principle, it's feasible to install these on any street light within CD12. I will say, I don't want to say only Porter Ranch, anywhere we feel there. The beauty of the project that Don is working on, it's part of, how you say, PERT, meaning program evaluation review technique. He can install it at one corner, and then if we see that the data quality is not up to par, it's very easy, move it from that location to another until we get the system operational in a systematic way in which all the data is beneficial to understand what's going on. I've seen a lot of the equipment that Don is specifying, and I think he will share with all of you along the line once it's in-house. It seems very reliable, and it seems it's going to deliver what we're expecting. And I'm hoping that along the line, we get more funding to expand throughout the whole area. And this way we have better understanding of whatever coming out of Alicia Canyon. But at this time, the minute physically Don has the equipment, the city is gonna, my department is street lighting, we're gonna immediately give him stickers and allow him to install it and ready to go. So that's the good news. The minute it's in hand, it's gonna be installed. And as far as the concern on people's backyards and all that, the unit is not too big. It can be even sit in a balcony or something, but like Don said, not close to barbecues, and this way it doesn't affect the data. But it's portable enough that it can go from one area to the other, and it's small enough that it can fit in any corner. And I'm sure Don, his engineers, can exactly put it in the where it is. And looking forward to have it working as soon as possible. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you,
Thank
board.
you, sir. All right, next is Craig. Floor is yours.
Thanks, Gabriel. Don, I have three questions. First one being is, are you?
Sorry about that, Craig. Go ahead.
Let me repeat, three questions, Don. First one, are you getting any assistance from AQMD on site selection, fast tracking permits, and enabling you to install these? Second question is, okay.
Yes.
Okay, but do you have, okay, then the follow-up question is, do you have sites that you have permits for?
Not yet. Again, it's not just them, it's the city of LA. I mean, we're working through the various agencies and that it's not, you know, it actually turns out that you know, South Coast doesn't have any jurisdiction over the sites themselves. You know, but that's why we've been working with the SOD, we've been working with, you know, Representative Lee's office, just to break down all the barriers it takes to get these permits and these things expedited.
Okay, so the community is clear and you manage our expectations. You do not have a single permit for installation as of today.
No, that's why we want to have a community adopt an air monitor.
Okay, so that's why you're seeking community. Okay, so then that leads to, so we need to understand that. You need to manage our expectations here as well. So then that leads me to the next question, and that is, I see the reflective monitors, and you said those have the BTEX as well as methane, but that is a line of sight with the reflector, et cetera. Is that something you're anticipating putting in someone's backyard?
Yeah, and we've actually been doing that down in Irvine, that exact system.
Okay, so that would be a short line of sight, whatever 80, 90, 100 feet, whatever our backyards are, something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So Don, you know, you mentioned if there's a blowout, the methane monitors would spike and we would be aware. What we're also critically concerned about is the chronic exposure that is ongoing, because that field is leaking. There's without doubt that it is emitting toxins. to what level, and use benzene if you will, the equipment that you're procuring, to what level will it go down to track chronic, not extreme, but chronic?
Sure.
And can you do it in parts per billion, please?
Okay, so the two different types of technologies that are going to be deployed that deal with benzene, the fence line systems, the ones that will be installed along Cessna, they actually they're developed by actually the Atmospheric Science Department at UCLA. I've personally used those equipment before. Their detection limits for benzene is around anywhere from about 0.35 ppb. So about, we're actually in the part per trillion concentrations. And I had a picture showing what we're calling these enhanced monitors. Those are point monitors out in the community that'll actually have detection limits lower than the actual fence line systems for benzene. The two systems we're using are the best in show. That there is nothing out there that's got lower validated detection limits than the technologies we're using. And again, we're talking, like I said, detection limits pretty close to about 1/3 of a ppb. And as for chronic measurements, that's really the best we can do from a technology basis right now. And I've actually seen those systems at work. I mean, we ran them at one of the refineries down in the southern part of Los Angeles for about 1.5 years. So we know it's very rugged, very reliable, and will give incredibly good detection.
Good. Yeah, so everyone's aware 1 part per billion is what Cal OSHA says is the limit that we should be exposed to. And if we do it 24/7, just 1 part per billion could have serious health issues. Don, again, this is to help manage our expectations. If you had a community member that said, here's the outlet in my backyard, have at it. Realistically, and we'd love to have, how long would it take for your firm to install a sensor?
We're hoping to get down there in the next 2 weeks. By the end of August, we want to start rolling out the equipment. And I mean, is
that because you're still waiting for equipment?
No, it's mostly just doing the final checkouts of the equipment here and then shipping it down. So we don't want to have something that isn't, completely burned in before we put it out.
Okay, so we should appreciate you haven't bench tested the equipment yet. You haven't burned it in, as you say. It's not a plug and play at the moment.
We want to be as conservative as possible, so that, and not to the point that we would never put anything out. Okay, but we want to have it to where we don't want false detections. That is as bad as, it's never as bad as real detections, but if you get false detections, people don't have confidence in the data.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Don.
It's just a trade-off.
Don, I appreciate that. And you want to be right because it's a credibility issue. But I have to be honest with you. I would think because you're 6 months into this now, that you would have this completely bench tested and have ready to go systems. I am a little disappointed in that, sir. Just so you know.
Craig,
thank you.
I placed the orders for a lot of this equipment back in January, and we just got it about a month ago because of supply chain. I mean, if the stuff was supposed to come in the 1st of March, and if it was in the 1st of March, I would have had it out there by the end of April.
But yet you don't have sites. So, okay. I don't want to take up any more time.
I'd have them in people's backyards in April.
No, I just would have appreciated, I think it would have been a wise idea to parallel it. And it sounds kind of like what you're doing now. Let's get the sites while you're bench testing so that when you get a site, if you've got a light post that a sod has got blessed and we couldn't put one in by this weekend, that's a little disappointing. I'm just being honest.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Craig. And with no further questions, thank you, Don, for all the updates. And if any community members can host, that's the email address and that's that phone number to call. So you can arrange it with Don to host an air monitoring unit. Anything you want to add, Don, before we move on?
No, again, I appreciate your time. We're doing everything we can to get the equipment out as quickly as possible, and I'll go ahead and put all this contact information in the Q&A.
Excellent.
Okay?
Thank you, Don. All right. Let's move on to the next item. 1 second. All right, next item is item number 16. Discussion and possible action to approve up to $2,000 to Granada Hills Community Foundation for 2022 Granada Hills Street Fair. Do we have any representatives from Granada Hills Community Foundation? Please raise your hand. Any representatives? Okay, board, as we don't have any representatives, did you want to proceed on this or should we table it?
Well, we didn't talk at all about the budget.
I mentioned the budget. I showed the website. Everything was shown, how much money we have. The only thing that's unclear is when is the rollover money coming in?
Maybe we should
Can
circle
I
back
ask a
to the
question?
treasurer report.
Oh, yeah, Becky.
Okay, I think that the motion is a little bit vague because the Granada Hills Community Foundation Street Fair, what's the date? When is it?
Let's see if they've even given it. October 22nd. It's on attachment C.
I think if they're not here to talk about it, I think we should move on. My opinion.
Okay, Brian Allen has his hand up. 1 second. Brian, floor is yours.
Do you have the NPG there?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell me who signed it?
Sure, 1 second, please. Madlena Minassian and Emily Coster.
Okay, thank you. The reason I'm asking is they had originally the NPGs were being put out by the Chamber of Commerce. They were signed by the Chamber of Commerce on behalf of the foundation. That is as illegal as can be. The IRS would very much frown on that. They should not be functioning that way. And I just wanted to make sure that they had replaced yours so that you had proper signatures. That's all. Thank you.
So we do have proper signatures based on what you're saying, correct?
Right. Yes, you do.
Thank you.
Could you tell us what the fair's about?
Thank you. Right now, I think Jason wants to go back to the budget real quick. Let's go back to that and we'll come back to this item. How's that? I think he has something to add on there. Jason, the floor is yours. Let me table this temporarily. We'll come back to it.
Let's see here. Okay. Can you see the
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so just to put things in perspective, because we have quite a few NPGs and the money that we have is not very much. We have net available 25,000, but our operating expenses are 19,000, so 20,000 roughly. We've budgeted 5,000 for NPGs. And we spent 2,000 already for the classes they were doing at
Sir.
yeah. So there's really only 3,000 in the budget for NPGs for the whole year. So it's very important that when we get the money from the rollover, we have to meet, and reallocate the budget. But that's what we're working with is for the whole year. So 9 months we have, or what is it, 10 months we have for the rest of the year. So unfortunately, they cut our budget and we're very limited. And I just want to, and then we have CIPs, and this is our budget right here. So I want everybody to kind of see it. You know, our operational is like 20 grand. So you see net available 25, but most of that goes to operations. So I just want to make the board aware of the financial situation. And I think the best thing to do would honestly, with respect to MPGs, to table all the MPGs till we get the rollover, and then we can kind of see where we're at financially, how much we have to work with. And I think in terms of MPGs, we should be thinking, how much, you know, do we want to give to the schools? How much do we want to give to public safety? How much you want to give to, you know, whatever, and get a game plan in terms of our budget, because our funds are very limited. You know, they cut our budget and now it's like we got like maybe 5,000-7,000 in MPGs to spend the whole year.
I'll second tabling.
And we're already spent 2. So I just want to put that in perspective so you guys, you know, and I think it's important that you know, understand the financial situation. And as treasurer, I hope that, you know, this board is fiscally responsible in terms of how we spend, because if we spend money that we don't have, then we're going to have to cut operations. And so we won't be able to, you know, we're going to move all the storage unit to Gabriel's house.
No.
It'll be a problem. We won't have.
I think what I do see multiple questions. I think we should do is go down the
That's a
MPG
joke,
one by
but-
one and decide what to table, what to not. But I do see Becky and David Balin have their hands up, and I also see Glenn Bailey with his hand up. Glenn Bailey rose it real quick after. Let's open up to Glenn Bailey, and then we'll go to Becky and then David Balin.
Can we go to the board first before we?
Well, we're raising our hands before we talk, so I'm just gonna rudely
Yeah, go
interrupt.
first,
I'm
Becky.
sorry.
Please.
I don't need to ask another question. Thanks, Gabriel.
No problem.
So
So
let's
you're
go
not-
to the board first. Becky,
Okay.
did you have a question?
I don't have one.
Okay.
go to the
so you
board
just left
first.
it up.
I'm good.
David Balin, go for it.
Thank you. I'm going to agree with Jason. I think that we need to hold off, reevaluate what we have. And once again, you know, I've been a broken record, but I've been extremely quiet over the last few months. And I'm going to urge the board. I'm going to urge you, Gabriel, to, you know, if I can help you, then I will. We have got to stop spending so much money on how setting up our, you know, our monthly agendas and everything else. I mean, these are things that we can do as a board and work together. In our newsletter, this can save us so much more money that we can implement and share with the community. It's time. I'm kind of glad that we don't have as much money, because now it's time that we really have to be more cognitive of what we're doing. And I'm going to agree with Jason. I think we should table all this till next month, let the money roll in, take a good look at where we're at, and figure out how we're going to implement and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Hilda.
Yeah, well, I want to make sure that we have enough funds for our schools too. I mean, I'm appointed that I'm going to take care of the kids and the schools in our community, but I don't want to end up not having any money. The schools are going to start next week, and right away, I'm going to try to see if I can go out there possibly with Becky and Christine and see what their needs are. So we really have to be careful on how we are spending our money. And I do agree with everyone else.
Thank you, Hilda.
Yeah, I think, you know, we didn't really have a formal retreat, but, you know, when the rollover funds come in, then we can kind of sit down and allocate funds, you know, for public safety, for schools, and then kind of figure out, okay, we have this much, because, and then just to comment back to Gabriel, and like, you know, when these MPGs come in, you know, they have to understand what we're working with in terms of our budget, right? so they can put any amount on the MPG, right, up to 5,000, but we really need to direct them back to the city clerk website where they can see, this is our MPG budget for the year, right? So if our MPG budget is like 8,000, just as an example, right? Then they know, if they ask for 5,000, right, that's like almost our whole budget, right? So when they apply, you know what I'm saying, Gabriel? Like we have to like bring them into reality, right? You may want to apply for 5,000, but you have to be realistic in terms of what we have for MPGs for the year. And then we have to think about like events we're going to do, like outreach events, and then, improvement projects in the community. And so it's a balance, right? Like those are the three categories, right? It's outreach, which is kind of events, improvement projects, like, trees or whatever it might be, and then MPGs. So there are three categories. And so I think next month we'll have a meeting and kind of, once the rollover, and the rollover is going to be like 9,600 roughly.
96, okay.
Yeah. So we have a nice rollover coming in, but we have to like reallocate the budget. And I just want the board to really be constrained with the budget. We have to follow the budget. And so that's all I ask, right? If we're going to go outside the budget before we approve anything, we have to reallocate the budget. That's how we have to, we're going to have to be more constrained this year,
Of course, that is exactly why every NPG that comes in says up to.
Yeah.
That covers us. It's not the exact amount any of the MPGs come in.
So I guess all I'm saying is
How
like,
much do we have in rollover funds, Jason? I know you just said it, but could you
9,600.
say it
hold on
again?
one second, Becky. Let me just say one thing to Gabriel. So when they submit MPGs, we want to refer them to the allocated budget for MPGs, so they know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like when we get an application for an MPG, we should be telling them, okay, we've allocated 8,000, or like right now it's 5,000. So if we get a $4,000 application for an MPG, we should be just explaining to them, like ESOM used to do this. We only have four, they want 4, but it's 5 for the whole year. So they understand that they're asking for, 80% of our budget just for their one MPG.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Becky, go ahead. I just wanted to.
No, I just.
You're asking something. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jason. I didn't mean to interrupt. You mentioned how much we have in rollover funds?
It's like 9,600.
Okay, and so
we did really good. We did really good because we didn't give any money back to the city. We rolled it over.
We did good. We spent our money, right? That's what we're here for.
Yeah, we bought a lot. Yeah, it actually worked out because we gave money for the fireworks, but then and just so you guys understand, the money for the outreach stuff is out of this year's budget. So we were knocked for like 3,900 out of this budget, right? That's why our amount is low, because we spent 3,900 on outreach, and then we approved the 2,000 for the CERT classes. So we're at like 25 grand. But our operating is like 20 grand. So we're not really working with very much this year. We only have like 5,000 in discretionary right now, and then the rollover will come in. So really, we got 3 categories to split that, 14,000 among. So we're very limited in terms of what we're working with this year. And it's very disappointing,
People are asking us for money. What we're here for, right? No, I know
we need to bring our budget back to 42,000 because
rollovers, definitely.
It's very disappointing. COVID is, we need to get back to the regular budget, 42,000,
How about we just take everything like one motion at a time and decide if we want it.
That's what we're going to do.
Or not vote for it.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. David, you have a question?
Yep. So I think it's important as the neighborhood council that not only do we educate our community, our council member, CD12, John Lee, they have egregious funds. I mean, they have funds that they could give out to our starving community. We have people that are in need in all different sorts of matters. We have Sunshine Canyon, and the community needs to understand that CD12 has funds sitting in Sunshine Canyon, and there's no reason why they cannot submit their requests to the councilman's office. I mean, they've got deep, it's a deep a bank account. And I even know that, you know, one of our neighborhood councils received $100,000. Did we? No, but that's beside the point. But these should be taking care of our schools. They should be taking care of our first responders. They do take care of the Devonshire Police Department like there's no other. I mean, they really take care of our LAPD. But we have fire departments that are our first responders that are taking care of all the people, all the sick people, all the people that have car accidents, all the people that have issues at schools. I mean, but they're not spreading the love to everybody. So I will implore that our community knocks on CD12's door and asks about funding with Sunshine Canyon money. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy.
I want to double down on what David said. You know, I think we get a lot of very worthy groups coming to us for money, and since we're kind of talking about all of them together, you know, LAPD got an 8.5% raise on top of the previously proposed 3% raise for a $1.9 billion operating budget with a total 3.2 billion. And they got half of the 600 million for COVID relief funds from the federal. And so on top of that, they're getting an annual increase of 87 million. So they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars extra. We should be knocking on LAPD and the CD12's door and having them help pay for things like the NPG grant that's looking to help for Solid in Devonshire. Like we can do more than just shell out money. We can also be advocates to help get money that already exists and already is allocated to these groups. And whether it's our schools or our police departments, I think we should be more active in trying to claw out existing funds than just handing out the little that we've got.
Thank you, Brandy. Jason, and then I got Brian Allen.
I mean, I'll just chime in on what the point they're making. You know, there's money out there. And I think if we bring projects to them, you know, as a board, we should come up with projects for them to fund. And that's the thing, you know, we need to figure out some projects that we can do that they will fund, because, you know, John will support the project if it's worthy of funding. You know what I'm saying? So I agree. You know, the money is there. The money's not the issue. In my experience, as I've been on the board, there's a lot of places to find money. You know, the money's not the issue. It's the project and who's going to spearhead that project. That's the issue, you know? And so I just want to make that point. If there's something you want to see done and there's a price tag associated with it, we'll find the money, you know, and the project will get done and the funds are there, and, you know, we're blessed in that respect. So that's all. Just want to kind
Thank you, Jason. And last but not least, Brian, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I just wanted to put something in perspective. The fact is that John Lee's operation does fund the street fair in a big way. So does Patriot Oil, and the NCs do not fund enough of it to make a difference. But I will say that our council does not look at what the NPG says. It looks at what we think is a reasonable amount of money to spend. Sometimes we spend a lot, sometimes we spend very little. So I have to say, David was right. We were the council that got $100,000 of the tip money from the landfill in order to do community improvement projects. That is a true statement. That money was given to us. It has been turned over to the city to do sidewalk repair on Rinaldi, and it has yet to be done. So there are lots of issues, but I just wanted to put it in perspective for you. That's all.
Thank you, Brian. let's move on with the agenda. What I'm gonna do is go by item. And if anybody wants to make a motion to table that motion, make the motion after I present the motion. So item number 16, discussion and possible action to approve up to $2,000 to Granada Hills Community Foundation for 2022 Granada Hills Street Fair. Do I have a second or a motion to table? Brandy,
Motion to table.
do I have a
I'll
second?
second the motion.
Thank you. 1 second.
Might need to be more specific since there were two motions.
Right. Well, it's the motion to table. Brandy, David made a second. So we'll table this motion. All right, let's go to item number, I don't think we need to vote on tabling, right? All we need is 2. We didn't get a second on the original motion.
No, I think we need to vote on it.
Do we? Because we didn't have a
I'm
second.
not, it's not my preference. I'm just thinking that it's not just a decision of
Well,
2 people on the board. I think it's.
If you're gonna
gotta be
call the
voted on.
question, are you gonna call the question?
Yeah, you have to call the question.
Well, didn't you call it?
If the president is
No, I
presenting,
know, Jason, but who's supposed to call it? I just thought that we amended the motion to table it, and there was a second, and doesn't that call for a discussion and then a vote?
I think it's up to the president at that point, isn't it?
I think it's according to Robert's
The
Rules of
president.
Order.
Brian, go for it. You probably
Can I-
know
I
that.
just thought I would try to help you out here.
Yes, please.
What your motion should be a motion to postpone, because you're not going to readdress it in this meeting. Secondly, there are a lot of ways of doing this, and if you have a motion to postpone and you have a second, you can say if there is no objection, we're going to postpone this. You don't have to vote on it at that
Gotcha.
level.
right,
That's what I thought. Okay.
That's an easy way of going about it.
I'll amend to postpone.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any objections?
No.
With no objections, item number 16 has been postponed.
you got a hand raised, Sharon. I don't know if it's on this item though.
Let me find out. Sharon, the floor is yours.
Yeah, basically, when you said you were going to table it, I think that tabling has to be, for a certain time or whatever. The postponing is that ending up being just until the next meeting. I'm not sure on parliamentarian stuff, but I think that needs to be made very clear that you're just doing it for this meeting and that it will be on the agenda for next month, because I'm sure that a lot of these are time sensitive, possibly. So that was my question when it was tabled, because like I said, I think there has to be more information, especially for the public that it's attending. So that's my question. Thank
A
you.
stakeholder or with the city?
I'm a stakeholder.
Oh, thank you. Okay. just-
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
The city's.
Just someone that knows what's kind of going on, was here for these 3 MPGs waiting around. So anyway, yeah. I'm not even a stakeholder. I don't live up there. I'm just,
No, you are still a stakeholder.
I'm
You're
zooming.
here. You're here.
I'm zooming.
Zoom holder.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So when we say postponed, it'll be postponed it'll be added on next month's agenda.
Yeah, carried over.
Okay, just to make that clear. Thank you for that information, Sharon. Let's go to item number 17. Discussion and possible action to approve up to $2,000 to Devonshire Solid for remodel flooring, furniture, and etc. at Devonshire Station. I think
I'm
Becky, you're going to
recusing
recuse
myself.
yourself, correct?
I'm recusing myself.
Thank you. So I made the motion. Do we have a second on this motion?
I'll second it.
Hilda seconded it. Is any representatives here from, I do see hands. 1 second. All right, the floor is yours. Email address, cartiat@laccd.edu.
Right, my name's Tapio Cartiala, that's my college email that you see on there. I'm the treasurer for Solid, and to be honest, you haven't made me feel real good about asking for money right now. However, you all are familiar with the project. I came to you about 3 months ago with the NPG asking for the $5,000. And at the time, you asked if I'd minded lowering it to 3,000 and asking for 2,000 more later if we need it. Well, we ran into some setbacks regarding the price of the furniture for the project. Turns out it's costing us another $7,000 extra that we hadn't anticipated. And they had to raise the price because of current inflation and materials costs. But right now, the project is underway. We gave it a go. It's the furniture company got a deposit on it all, and they have started manufacturing it. Soon we're going to start renovating the trailer itself. It's definitely a go. We did get a lot of support from all of the, well, most of the NCs. 6 of them gave us the 5,000 last fiscal year. Chatsworth gave us 1,500. They're told us that's all they had at that, for that fiscal year. So we're going to be meeting with them next week to help us out. So we did get in a bit of an extra unanticipated bind on this extra cost. So I guess I'm just going to leave it up to you. I understand you have to go by your budget and whatever it is. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Brandy?
Okay, so a couple things. One, I looked at Robert's Rules of Order. A motion to lay on the table allows it to be postponed either until the conclusion of the current meeting or on the next session, and only dies if it isn't taken up on the next session. And a motion to table it's not specific in Robert's Rules, but in Congress requires a 2/3 vote to overturn the tabling motion. So you can vote, but you don't have to. That said, I appreciate that we have a representative. I appreciate your thing with everything else. I'm going to motion that we table this, postpone it to next meeting when we know what our budget is.
Thank you. David Balin?
I need to recuse myself, but I was waiting because we were already in discussion. So I'm recused as a CPAB member.
Thank you. All righty. I have a hand up from Officer Carell. 1 second. Floor is yours, sir.
Can you hear me, officer?
Yes, we do.
All right, good. You guys thought you got rid of me, but I hung around just because of this. I wanted to provide you guys with a little bit of history regarding Devonshire Station and regarding to our project. Devonshire Station was built in the early 70s. When they built the station on the property, there's only 2 buildings that was built. There was the actual station and the actual garage area where cars are worked on. The city maintains only those 2 buildings. Throughout the years, we've got several trailers and which we parked in the parking lot, and we're using those as offices. So the slow trailer is one of those buildings. So the city looks at these trailers as not their property. So the city doesn't maintain them. The city doesn't clean them. The city doesn't do anything with them. They just allow those trailers to be on the parking lot property. And we just use them as our offices because it's so crowded inside the station. So when something breaks, like we've had our AC system break down, it's up to us or Solid to pay out of pocket to fix those items, even though it's on property or the city property. The city eyes it as not their property because they didn't pay for those motorhomes or the trailers, wherever we're using as offices. So it's up to private our supporters of law enforcement at Devonshire to provide the funds in order to get, the maintain and the upkeep of these buildings. Since I've been at Devonshire, I originally came to Devonshire back in 2001. There's only been one renovation done for this office that we're doing. So basically, the wear and tear of several years, and there's no upkeep with it. It's in dire need of renovation. So that's what's done. Those funds had to come privately, and it's done through our solid. And all the neighborhood councils within the Devonshire area, are participating with this. Council District 12 is providing some funds as well. So I just wanted to give you the history, because even though these buildings are on city property, the city of Los Angeles doesn't do any upkeep or any maintenance or anything to do with these buildings. So that was all I wanted to add.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Jason.
Hi, Efren. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, sir. Sorry you missed my 8-hour briefing earlier. But it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you hanging in there.
Thank you.
So I guess, we did approve 3,000. So we are definitely buying in, for this project. I guess for me, I'd like to see like a next meeting, a status update on the project in terms of, because I heard like the furniture costs more, but just kind of a financial breakdown, because I'm the treasurer, so I'm kind of looking at, the numbers, and because the questions that come up from us are like, what neighborhood councils contributed, and we kind of, I guess maybe we compete, right? Like you told me or I don't know if it was you, but Chatsworth gave 1,500, right? So we look at that, right? And we all kind of want to help the cause. But also for me, my background in project management, I want to know where the project's at and, what it's going to take to get it to the finish line. But also, we're going to have other asks throughout the year, and our budget is very limited. We're going to get probably like, Devonshire Pals, and, the schools are going to ask for money. So unfortunately, our resources are very limited this year. So I just want to kind of, set that expectation, but that doesn't mean we're not 100% committed. But I'll kind of refer you back to the comments before regarding, other resources available. Certainly the councilman has discretionary authority to allocate money to take this to the finish line. You know what I'm saying? And that pot of money is, 7 figures. You know what I'm saying? Big difference between like what we're working with, right? We're talking about 5,000, 7,000, this is what we're working with, right? 20,000, like, so you got to keep it in context, but I totally appreciate you being here, and I support doing the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. John Hales, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It'll be quick. One of the things about the uniqueness of what we do, I say we as a group, is provide support to the schools, et cetera, that need help. One of the things that I personally found, is that when you look at the need, as an example, I'll use a school. There's a charter school. I was a band parents president for 3 years. During that period, the first year, I went in and found out, oh, they're raising $17,000 a year for the band and various practices, et cetera. They now are coming to the neighborhood council asking for $5,000 for various instruments, et cetera. what I found out when I went in, I said, wait a minute. Why not raise the money? Do something. So the next 3 years, we average $80,000 a year in revenue that we were able to bring up. I mean, there was a variety of things, but what I'm suggesting is this. Money's not the only resource you can provide to these folks. Sometimes if you teach them how to fish, as you're suggesting with going to CD 12, to John Lee and group, teach them that it's not going to hurt to go ask for that. But more importantly, is there some way that they could continue on a yearly basis raising funds? Now, with the police department, solid, they're doing pancake breakfast. They're going to, I guess they got a spaghetti dinner coming up pretty soon. But yet they still come for more money, etc. There's got to be ways, I mean, amongst your whole group, there's people that have had their own businesses, raised money to fund the business, etc. Money is not the only thing you can provide. There's a lot of experience there and guidance. I see the frustration, and all of the neighborhood councils, you know, don't exactly spend money in the same way, but they all don't have the blessings like you folks do. So keep that in mind, that maybe there's something other than money that you can provide. Guidance is probably just as valuable. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tapio, you have your hand up?
Yes.
Floor is yours.
Yeah, if I could put up on the screen, I don't think, I can show you what the
Yes.
numbers are on this project.
One
That
second.
might be helpful.
Thank you. Oh. Did you try sharing screen?
I think it's coming in. I just moved them as a panelist. So
Try to share your screen. There you
thank you.
Perfect.
And you're muted.
Okay, are we there yet?
Yep, there you go.
Okay, so as you can see, this is a very expensive project. You know, we did have a successful pancake breakfast. I mean, it was, you know, not just a great fundraising event, it was a great community event. I mean, everybody there after the pandemic, everyone looked like they just got out of jail or something. They had a great time. And we do have our pasta dinner coming up. That's October 7th. If you want to mark your calendars for that, that would be great. But yeah, so we are, you know, the neighborhood councils, as you can see on the bottom down there, that tells you who's getting us what so far and why. The only one that doesn't seem to like us at all seems to be Granada Hills South. I'm not sure why, but they didn't want to give us anything. So that was kind of a setback on our planning. But you know, solid is raising most of the money for this project.
So what about the council office, you know, the county, I don't know, other
Well, we're gonna,
besides NCs?
yeah, we're going to we hit up, you know, 9 of them for this project. So we're not just trying to put it on any one person's back here. We are planning on talking to John Lee's office for some help too on this. But we pretty much had to make it a go because we didn't want them to raise the price on the furniture again on us. So we had to lock it in before inflation costs was going to go up even more. So we're going to find a way to finish this no matter what it takes. That's how we are. We get things done. We got the gym done during the middle of a pandemic. We've succeeded in that, and you guys help us on that too, and we appreciate it. And obviously, we appreciate any help you can give us. So Any other questions? I'll be happy to try to answer you.
Mr. Tapio, if the board decides on voting on this today, are we getting a plaque or anything inside the facility saying?
Yeah, not only are you going to, yes, absolutely. I will absolutely guarantee that there will be a plaque stating that the neighborhood councils have donated. It'll be on the wall there for sure. Absolutely. It has to be, and it's going to have one neighborhood council missing on it. But yeah, that'll be there. And not only that, I plan on keeping you fully informed on the progress of the construction, the renovation, and then so you'll be continually informed of the status.
Thank you. Hilda?
Yeah, my question is, when is the event again? October when?
October 7th, pasta dinner.
Oh, at night. Is that what it is? It's Friday night.
Yes.
Oh, well, okay, I see. What time? 6 or 7?
I think it'll usually it's 6.
6. Okay, I have it down.
Yeah, you'll be getting flyers on it anyway later, as
Yeah.
it goes on.
Thank
We are
you.
working on it, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brandy, you have another question or statement?
Statement. I wanted to double down on what our attendee mentioned. One thing that we all have as an advantage over people who are actually employees of LAPD is that we don't put our jobs on the line if we go, complain a lot that they need this money. So I feel like if we can advocate and use that, we could probably get them a lot more than the 2,000 that we kind of don't really have to spend. And there are so many members of our council that are so very heavily involved in helping Solid and PALS in the police department. So I can't imagine that some of the people that stepped away wouldn't be throwing a lot of effort into this. I especially because we do need to do as Jason suggested and break down our funds. I just feel like tonight's not the best time to be making the decision, but rather kind of make a broader decision so that we know what we can afford. In the meantime, we can spend the next month trying to raise the rest of the money.
Thank you, Brandy. Glenn Bailey, floor is yours.
Thank you, this is Glenn Bailey. I just wanted a clarification, and if I may, if I could follow up after I get an answer. So based on the timetable, I thought this project was good to be completed by now, but are there certain components of it that have not yet been completed?
Well, originally, it's hard to plan this kind of thing. We ran into some problems, but right now the completion date of the whole project is going to be around mid-October.
Okay.
I guess it takes a long time to build the furniture and everything in, we didn't,
Okay.
we didn't
So-
get it going.
Okay, thanks for that update. The reason I asked is there's certain, unlike other sources of monies, there's requirements for neighborhood purposes grants, and that is you have to provide the award before the conclusion of the project. You have to vote for it and presumably submit it. But the important thing is the vote part. So you've answered that question, which means that anytime before, based everything else, the funding be available, the priorities of Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, et cetera, but they could do an NPG, would need to be, reflect that an October conclusion date, or at least a date after today's date. So thank you.
Yeah, well, we did our best job guessing, but this is what I'm pretty sure it's going to get done by mid-October.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. By the way, Chatsworth ended up, it says that's all they had.
Right. We're meeting with them later this month I'm guessing it sounded like they want to give us the rest of it. So
Yeah.
I won't know that until later.
They usually do a great job of spending most all their money, but this year they had more left. So, okay. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. 1 second. All right, the fact that we have a first and a second on this motion, and we do have one request to table it. Based on the fact that we have a first and second, does the board want to proceed on a vote count on this item?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, I'll call a vote on this item.
What are we voting on?
Item number 17, solid $2,000.
$2,000 is solid.
Correct. That's what we're voting on right now.
Excuse
All
me,
right.
excuse me, the note taker has the motion to table, but I don't have the first and the second. Could you please repeat?
Yes, Gabriel made the motion, Hilda made the second.
That was to table, I believe.
No, the table, it was Brandy who made a motion to table it after we had the second on the item.
Well,
I second the motion to table. You know, I honestly think we don't have, you know, we haven't had a budget discussion. We don't know how much money we're working with for the whole year. If this is like 5,000 is the budget, we approved 2,000, so 3,000 is all we have left. So this is going to be 2/3 of the budget. So I mean, if the intent is to proceed that way, that's fine, but I don't think it's fiscally responsible. I think the right thing to do is to kind of look at the whole money we're working with. So that's all. I thought we were, that was my recommendation originally, is that we table the funding items till we didn't have a retreat, till we discuss the budget, figure out which category we're going to allocate NPGs to. But I don't know. The note taker said there was what happened.
According to the notes, the motion to postpone to the next agenda was made by Kalen and Hilda with no objections. I don't have any other motions recorded for that for item 17.
No.
Yeah, the motion was, I made the motion for item 17, Hilda made the second, as I said, and then Brandy made the motion to table it, and then we had the discussion.
And now Jason's seconding them.
And then Jason seconding the to table it, or better yet, postponing it, not tabling it. And my next question will be, are there any objections to postponing this meeting or this agenda item? Please say yay. Any objections to not postpone it, pretty much? So everybody's in agreement on postponing it. All right, with no objection, this motion is being postponed.
Okay, so I guess that means it'll be on agenda item next month?
Yes, it will be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then make a notes on my end what happened, and we will continue. One second.
When you come back, can you like inquire with CD12 and other, because it's all NPG, it's all from neighborhood councils here, you know? Are there other contributors to the project? Thank you.
Oh, there are.
1 second.
And then Gabriel just has to make sure that the agenda puts this item after we discuss the budget.
Yeah, the budget first. Yeah.
All righty, this item has been postponed. Thank you for coming, Mr. Tapio.
Okay,
And
thank you for your
This item
time.
will be on the agenda next month.
Thank you, and thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to item number 18, discussion of possible action to approve up to $4,000 to Friends of West Los Angeles for 4th annual Greater Los Angeles Safety and Preparedness Fair. I would like to.
William Keith, is it William Keith? Let me see. I'll just talk.
Sorry.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Yeah, are you presenting? That's right?
I was here to do that. I understand from listening to the board that they wanted to postpone or postpone all the MPGs. But that was.
But that's okay. You're here to present on this item, right?
Yeah, but I can do it next month too, if that makes, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. If that makes more sense. For
I'll defer to Gabriel on that one, but
okay, let's
appreciate you being here. If he wants to speak, it's up to you, Gabriel.
You know what? Yeah, give us a small presentation, and then we'll move to postpone without any objection. But if you're here, like Jason said, you can let us know a little bit about the
Wait.
event.
We have to bring Becky and David back in.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
correct.
Thank you, Brandy.
Give us 1 second.
And if you give me the ability, I can show a brief PowerPoint.
Yes, 1 second.
How's everybody doing so far this evening?
Doing good. Thank you so much. Are you messaging
Yes, I'm messaging both of them.
both of them? Okay, thank you. Are you able to screen share? Go ahead. You should.
You have to make them a panelist. Did you make them panelists?
Yeah, he's on the panel.
Yes, okay, you should be able to screen share.
I don't see a new button that allows me to do that.
Let's see. Oh,
All right, David is here, waiting for Becky.
I've been here.
Okay. Becky, are you here?
Ah, very good.
Okay, either way, we have quorum, we can move forward.
he's pulling up the screen.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
That's your camera, but do the share screen, the green button on the bottom.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for that. Okay,
There
how's
you
that?
go.
Very good. Thank you, everybody, for the opportunity to present the Greater Los Angeles Safety and Preparedness Fair. This is, so just a little brief history. The Safety and Preparedness Fair was on the west side, but earlier this year, Captain Agnostic, actually he's Chief Agnostic now with the Los Angeles Fire Department, has asked us to move this more inland to be more centrally located for Angelinos. And then we lost a couple of beloved folks in the Valley, Bill and Linda, that were doing the Valley Fair, which made it all the more important that we have some type of a physical fair for people to come and interact with vendors and our first responder groups. VOAD stands for Volunteer Organizations Acting in Disaster, and of course our neighborhood council or other locally elected officials. And so that's why we're putting on the Greater Los Angeles Safety and Preparedness Fair at Exposition Park, which is on Sunday, November 13th at the Green Lot. And for those people that are not familiar with Exposition Park, the Green Lot is the large parking lot on the very south end of the complex. It's the little parking lot for the soccer stadium. Just raise your hand, just real quick, if anybody here is familiar with the or has been to the Valley Fair. So I just want to know who my audience is.
I've been to the Valley Fair. Let me make something clear real quick. This is completely different than
Yes.
the Valley Fair that was
Absolutely.
happening for the last so many years in Northridge, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. The only similarity is that it's going to have a lot of the same components to it, but there are different organization groups and different team members. That's absolutely right.
And this is taking place pretty much around downtown.
Yes. The reason why we chose Exposition Park is that it seemed to be essentially located for not only freeway access, but also for our Metrolink and bus lines. It seemed to have the most interconnections for that. The train being goes right by the Exposition Park on the north side. It's the Expo line. Goes right by that location.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I just wanted to give a quick background. I know that you're all familiar with how a preparedness fair works. The only thing I wanted to add to that is that we are endorsed by not only the mayor's office, but by LAPD and LAFD, and we have endorsement of those. I think you might have received those, Gabriel, as part of our package. If you want to see what the fair has from previous times, we did do the third annual one was a virtual fair. If you go to safetyfair.org, you can see all the content from that virtual fair. When you first go to there, you'll see Mayor Garcetti's bright shiny face with the 2-minute introduction, and then you can navigate the system for all of the content, all the presentations from that virtual fair. At this location, we're going to have not only items for families, individuals, but also for kids. Some of those items are going to be like a bike safety, kind of like an obstacle course for bicycles. So people that are, for the kids that are learning bicycles are actually going to get helmets. For the people that attend, kids that attend from the CHP, and they're going to have an obstacle course and then mascots. We're also going to have hands-on CPR, basic first aid, stop the bleed. We're going to have pet first aid. A lot of hands-on components are going to be at this fair, in addition to all of the apparatuses like Red Cross's herb stands for emergency response vehicle, the fire department apparatuses, and the kids and people like to go through and see what those components look like, walk through them, and of course honk the horn and make the lights go on and all that other good stuff.
1 minute left.
1 minute. Okay, thank you for that. So our goal is to, at this fair, we anticipate approximate attendance of about 12,000 people. The majority of the funds are going to go towards the infrastructure, which is going to be tents, tables, chairs, the stage, and of course all the other infrastructure to keep the people safe. This just gives you a brief outline of funding locations, and we're like I said, we're looking at the MPGs or the neighborhood councils to be in the mayoral category, and they're all going to get recognition there at the fair.
Okay.
And that is the end of my presentation. I'm here for any questions that you have at all. I know that we try to make the presentation very short for that reason.
Well, thank you. Any contributions you're seeking from local neighborhood councils and like any approved MPGs yet?
Are you saying, have we already gotten funding? Is that what your question?
Yeah, or like, where are you seeking funding?
We're seeking funding from everybody, and the reason being is we know all the all of the neighborhood councils have gotten their budgets cut by $10,000, and so we can't. We're going to the people closest to the venue, but we know that that's not going to be enough funds to get us to the finish line. So we're looking for whatever funding we can get from the more outlying people. Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council gave us between $1,000 and $2,000, and even though our funding is up to $4,000, we know that the Porter Ranch is not going to be that generous. But if they can do between $1,000 and $2,000, that would be awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And one of the other thing is, if anybody's familiar with preparedness or emergency preparedness, for every dollar that is spent, you get about a $6 payback in the way of either resiliency or preparation after the event or after the disaster event. So it's really beneficial to spend the money now, because you don't then you have to spend 6 times the money later.
Thank you, William. And the event is free. Is there free parking as well?
Free parking. We're working with the state. The state owns that property. They want to charge us for parking. If they do, we will pay that. We will pay a lump sum. But nothing at this fair will be a cost to anybody except for the food trucks. we don't have control over the food trucks.
Got it. Any board member questions? I have one attendee question. Sharon, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Been waiting for this.
Of course.
My first thing is, I think the neighborhood council, any of the neighborhood councils in the valley need to go and ask themselves, how will this benefit my stakeholders? Having to go all the way down to Exposition Park with limited funds. I think everybody knows the answer on there. Is it a good thing? Yes. But also the NPG goes and says that, you know, they're depending on the neighborhood councils to contribute. I've been monitoring, going to different Zoom meetings. A lot of them aren't giving the 4,000, some 500. I'm afraid that if they don't get all their money, the event will probably not be able to happen. And then what happens to the neighborhood councils that have given their money? But the biggest thing is something this far away with the limited funds you're talking about with your NPGs at 5,000, and you're talking about not giving money to Solid, which, you know, that's LAPD, that neighborhood councils just need to think really carefully of where the money can be spent for their stakeholder specific. And I know there's neighborhood councils that have decided not to do it at all, especially in the valley and even downtown. Anyway, that's my comment. And, you know, if you decide, you might, you know, be able to go and vote on it tonight or not. But that's what I've been waiting for. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Brandy,
Move to table.
move to table. I will move to, can you move to postpone, you mean?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Thank you. 1 second. Are there any objections to postpone? All right, this item is postponed till next month. Thank you,
for the
William,
opportunity
for
to
the
take
information.
question. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to take questions and to do the presentation.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, William.
All right. One second, everyone. Lower hand. All right. Next item is discussion and possible action to fill the 2023 Neighborhood Council Election Information Worksheet. Let me put that on the screen real quick. And we have to fill this out because this was due 9 days ago. 1 second.
Who's gonna chair the election committee?
The election, well,
Hilda's smiling.
the election committee currently is Jennifer.
Okay.
So, all right, let me share the screen so we can fill this out real quick and then
Hilda.
we can get out of here. 1 second. All right, can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Am I what?
Okay,
Yeah.
we were supposed to have this filled out on by August 1. I did get an extension for it.
Polling location is the library.
All right, neighborhood council or Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council.
Keep going down. We filled this out already. We'll help you.
Yeah, but I just want to do it, you know, I was supposed to do it supposedly on all of us together, and here we are
You gonna
doing
do
it.
it right now? Come on.
Yeah, it's only 2 pages.
Oh,
one and
let's
a half
do the
pages.
second page. Hold on.
It's short. Start time
Oh,
for the polls. What?
the 6 window. You should do it longer so in the morning they can drop it off and then after work they can drop it off.
I think it says 4 or 6 hour window between 9 a.m. and 8
Oh.
p.m.
For your at
Board, what are the recommendations for this?
David. Balin filled this out last time.
David, are you here?
You're at.
Of course I'm here.
Awesome.
I'm just watching you struggle.
I ain't struggling. I'm
It's
just trying to.
just Gabriel,
the
just
right
send
way.
it to me. I'll fill it out. It's not a
Yeah,
big
you're
deal.
good. Just
Just send it to me. It's easy, and I'll let you and then you just send it back and you sign it.
for the alternative facility name, you can put Castle Bay down there.
Okay, so should we, discussion action, should we
To
make a
authorize,
motion?
you're already authorized. You're the president, so don't
Yep.
even worry, man.
You have to sign it, Gabriel.
You just
that
fill it
easy.
out, but who's on the committee, I think, or are you just gonna process
It
this
won't be
right
that
now?
big. That won't be that big of a deal. I mean, we could use Castle Bay. We can use Porter Ranch. I would just say use Porter Ranch Community School as a
Right.
second location. ABAC will let us do it automatically.
Yeah, either school is perfect.
And then we're not dealing with COVID right now anyway, as bad as we were before.
How you make.
So it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, yeah. So you need a contact, put either the principals from the schools.
Should we do it here or the library? I
The
mean,
library is the primary because they already had a box there. It's already there.
That's correct. There's nobody's name. There's a box. It's a city box.
okay, so this will be the Porter Ranch Library pretty much.
If you need the contact name for the library, I have that. Don't worry.
Okay,
We can work on this after the meeting. We're good. What is this? Hold on. What's that one say? Translations.
we don't need, do we?
Sure, we definitely we could use
Korean?
Armenian, we can use Korean. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
we got that.
we have a
All right, let's do
And,
this.
You guys, we need to make sure we do it in Korean.
Yeah, exactly. Armenian, Korean. And then for the election or outreach committee chair,
As I said, currently the elections committee chair is Jennifer and outreach committee chair is Christine.
so you're gonna put that there. Okay. So that's it.
All right, so how's this? I'll make a motion to allow the president to fill this out. Make it easy and have
You
it
don't
on
need a
record.
motion, you're already,
I know.
Glenn Bailey wants to say something. Are we good on the board?
we're good. Go ahead, Glenn. We'll go home.
Glenn's always helpful. Let's see what he's got.
Just a couple of things. First of all, yeah, you do have to take a board vote. And I think you've discussed all the information you're going to put in there. So I think that would make it, but they do reserve the right to ask for your minutes or other things if necessary. So you do have to reflect that. The couple things I just wanted to mention based on the discussion that I didn't hear is this is going to be a hybrid election. So there will be vote by mail as well as the polling place. So those who get the word and do an application and submit their vote by mail ballot in time, then they will be able to do that and they won't even have to show up to the polling place. The one difference, that's one difference. The second difference is, unlike last year, the ballot drop box is scheduled to close on the Friday before the day before the Friday, June 9th, day before the June 10th election. And I assume that's so that they can then tabulate who has returned their vote by mail. So then they know when they show up in person, whether or not they're entitled to get a ballot. So, but it won't affect in your case, because if you have the polling place at the library, even if they show up on the day of the election and the ballot box is closed, they can just go into the polling place. Also, just be aware, and I don't think this is a big deal, but I did want you to be aware of it. They do require 2 hours for setting up the polling place, and then an hour for takedown. So depending on, they'll have to work that out with the library. If the library staff have to get there earlier than their normal, that they normally get there before they open up the library, they'll just have to work that out and, pay for it or whatever.
Thank you, Glenn. What hours do you suggest we put in?
I don't think they do the
time?
polling, Gabriel. They don't do the polling at the library. They do it at the school. Dave, they do it at PRCS, right? The polling, the booth and all that. Because at the library,
You know what?
it's
I can't confirm that because they might not.
No, they do it at Castle Bay. It's always at Castle Bay. The
No,
polling-
we've done it in a lot of different places. We've done it at Shepherd of the Hills most of the
I'm
time.
talking about last election. I'm not talking about
Last election was all vote by mail.
No, last election, we used the mailbox.
It was
the
the
post
polling
office
place.
and it was mail.
Yeah,
Castle
that's
Bay.
right. We used a mailbox, but it wasn't in-person voting.
We're talking about polling locations. See on the screen right here, number 3.
I understand that. Are you talking about in person or are you
Yes.
talking about
Yes,
dropping
in
off
person.
something?
So what I was trying to say is in person is Castle Bay and the drop box is at the library. It's not in person because Glenn.
The library is not in person, but Castle Bay would be in person.
Yes, Castle Bay. They
That's
have
what I'm
the
saying.
booth. Yes,
Jason, that's what I'm saying.
yes.
This is
Okay,
the exact reason why we're having it.
Can I just throw something out there?
Yeah.
The thing about having it at Castle Bay or PRCS, you're putting your in-person polling place in the northwest or the northeast part of our neighborhood council rather than in the center part.
It's above our pay grade, Becky. Come on, we don't decide.
Wait.
things.
What?
We don't
I
decide
thought
where
we
the
were
polling
discussing
place
where
is.
the polling place was going to be.
We don't have any influence on that. It is, we don't decide that.
Yes, you do. Sorry, yes, you do. That's the whole purpose of filling out this
Yeah,
form,
that's the whole
is to give your
purpose.
first choice and second choice. You can do it anywhere within your boundaries, and you do, and I know I was
Well,
your.
we have permission issues, so. if
Well,
we-
you know, one
right,
of the
but-
places that would be a good place that would be so easy and so
Mhm.
central would be Shepherd of the Hills outside. You know,
Mhm.
they have that nice area.
Well, why don't we put this on, or, oh, this application is already due. We have to decide tonight, I
That's
guess.
exactly why I put it on the agenda. as
Well, you know what,
discussion, and
I'm
exactly.
gonna agree with, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Becky, because I know for a fact, Paula would approve, Pastor
Yeah.
Dudley would approve, Tim Winters would approve. So I don't have a problem, you
I
know,
approve. Let's do it.
there you go.
I'll triple that
I'll
motion.
call her. You want me to call Paula and ask her right now?
No, they'll do it. We've got a great working relationship
It's
with them. They're
fine.
good.
It's fine. Polling location, Shepherd. So keep going. Anything else we need to decide on before?
How was this discussed without a discussion last time?
Well, we're gonna make a
I'm not
motion in a
understanding.
second, but let's
No,
find.
I'm asking a question. I would like an answer.
Yeah.
Who filled this out last time?
What,
without
I
any
filled it
discussion with the
out,
board?
and then we
David
brought
did.
it to the board, and we told them, we basically, I did all the due diligence, and then it was all filled out, and I said, this
Yeah.
is what we have, because not only was I acting president at the time, but I was also running the election for everybody, so it
Go
was
down a little bit.
juggling hats,
Oh,
my
my
friend, juggling hats.
Yeah, thanks.
So alternative, you want to put Castle Bay then?
Yeah, Shepherd. So Shepherd primary,
Shepherd is
alternative
primary.
Castle Bay.
Castle Bay secondary. And then keep going. Anything else? Let's wrap it up. Translation. We have Armenian, Korean, anything else?
Spanish?
Spanish.
Spanish. Okay.
Perfect. And then we already talked about number 5. That's Jennifer and Christine, right?
Yes.
So we're good. So I'll make the motion.
What about
To-
Japanese?
Wait, you know what? I just,
Anything
I
else?
mean, if we're going to decide what languages, can we decide what languages we want? Because we have a huge Armenian population up here.
Yeah, it's Armenian, Korean, and Spanish was said.
Yeah, we included Armenian.
We have a lot of Japanese up here too.
Yeah, I mean, how many languages can we pick?
Yeah.
No, seriously.
We'll read the text. It's right there. Hold on. Go down, 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 right there. Stop right there.
Right.
Read that part right there. Automatically.
Which part? There's a bunch of parts.
Automatically Spanish, Korean, Chinese.
And made available on request. So does that mean it's automatic for those 3 and then an additional on request?
Yeah, we have to pay for it. It says may
I see.
require to contribute. So you can pick whatever you want if you want to pay for it.
Mhm.
Well, we should pay for it because this is a very multicultural community. And I don't think that hits all the languages. You know, at Castle Bay Lane, when my kids went to school there, and I'm not making this up, I was told there were 72 different languages spoken at that school. And one of them was
Let's look at
Spanish. That
section
was it.
4. We got to read section 4 right now. This is the,
So basically, Spanish and Korean is free, and Chinese is free. Armenian, we're going to end up paying for.
That's okay. Is there anything else we should?
read the candidate filing form, specify requested languages, voter registration for a special. So you have to either put something here or not. You're going to either put something here or leave it blank.
Do we need an
much is it?
interpreter?
How much is it?
I don't know.
That's a difference. If it's $3,000, we shouldn't add any more languages. If it's
Whatever they.
$5,
I
we
would
add
just
one.
leave
I
that
think I
blank.
saw 150, right? 150.
That's for
We
per
can put
poll.
Armenian
no,
in
no.
there. I don't know.
No.
Go to number 4. We already decided on that. Number 4 right there. Yeah. So you want the filing form to come in another language besides Spanish, Korean, and Chinese. And English, of course.
Without knowing for sure how much we pay for it, I want to find that out first.
Yeah, better
Well, we
leave-
don't, yeah, but we don't have time, Brandy.
So just stick to those 4 languages, 5 languages, including English.
I'm inclined to say you would put Armenian in all 3 lines.
So Armenian, Korean, Spanish, Chinese, English.
Well, the question is, are we going to add something to number 4? Do we want to add another language on there?
We have to add Armenian on there.
All right, I think we should just add Armenian and that's it. Put it on each
Okay.
Armenian. But I have no idea what it costs. I don't know.
I
Do
guess
we want to vote on it, or are we just gonna,
we have to vote on.
yeah, we have to
Vote
vote
on
on
it.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So-
fine. It's
Wait,
okay.
are
It's
we-
okay.
Wait a minute, that would be a spending motion though. Don't we have to have that in the agenda for a spending amount if we're spending money?
You guys, we gotta have.
Not spending money right
ahead
now.
of time.
We're not spending money right now. This is not a motion to, I'm not writing a check or anything. This is something with the city.
Okay.
Don't worry,
Anything else?
we're good.
All right, then
think
I'll
we
make,
got it.
I'll make a motion to
You know-
approve.
Let me
Huh?
just ask, polling place interpreter, we're just gonna, we have all these other languages, but we're only gonna have
Oh,
one.
yeah, maybe take out the interpreter. Do we want an interpreter at the polling place? They don't.
I
No,
don't think so.
On the registration form, it can go out in Armenian and the filing form in Armenian.
That's it.
Yeah,
Nothing here. NA,
good catch.
cool.
All right, Glenn's got his hand. Come on, Glenn. Focus on the application. Help
wait,
us.
do we have to put all of the above?
We have a motion in a second. Oh, wait,
No, we don't have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Wait, Jason, I know, hold on. Do we have, we just have Armenian there. Do we have to, we don't have to put the other languages?
They're already there. They're gonna provide all those other ones in the text there.
Because I don't want, to me, it looks like we're
Here,
just
I'll
doing
add
it
it.
in one language.
I'll add it for you.
No, don't add it. No,
No?
Jason,
Becky, read
what's
it.
the big deal?
Read the thing.
What's the big deal? I want to
Can you
make sure
see-
everybody
can you
gets
read
the
on the
vote.
screen? Hold on. Becky, can you see?
Hey,
the screen?
Lastima.
All right, never mind. You can't see the screen, I guess. Becky, you can't see the screen.
That's not very nice, Jason. Yes, I can.
All right, it says the following documents will automatically be translated into Spanish, Korean, and Chinese. It's already explicitly says right there, and made available upon request. So you're not supposed to be writing Spanish, Korean, and Chinese.
But it says, I think her point is, it says, and made available upon request. Don't we have to request it? I think she's asking.
More,
That means it's
I
available.
just want to make sure it doesn't go out and just,
It
one
made
language.
available upon
okay,
request. means
Jason,
it's
you
available.
win, you win. I'm done, I'm done.
Okay,
Okay, I'm
I'm
done.
sorry.
No, you're not. Total control freak.
Okay. We can read it again.
All right. So let's go to Glenn. Glenn, the floor is yours.
On request.
Yeah, so in the past, when they had paper copies, they had Spanish and English, so they have expanded that. So I don't, a lot of this will be done on the website, so I think it'd be you could choose your language, I guess. But just to cover yourselves, I'm kind of agreeing that it wouldn't hurt. It's not going to cost you anything. It wouldn't hurt to put them on, but it may or may not be necessary. The point I wanted to say though was that they're not going to start working on your the region 2, is at the end of the cycle this time, right? Because they've moved the valley to the end. So you've actually, I think you've got several months. So I guess what I'm saying is you may want to follow up in a few months or have them give you a cost estimate on the Armenian. My guess is that or for, whatever language. My guess is if there's other neighborhood councils requesting it, that'll bring down the price because it's spread over multiple neighborhood councils. But if other neighborhood councils don't, then you're bearing more of the cost. And I think if it's too, so if they tell you it's $10,000, you may decide to back out. But I think it's okay. I think you
This
could
is
do.
not the motion here.
No, but what I'm suggesting is put it on, but follow up and find out, because you will have a time window that you could back out of it if it's too expensive. Anyway, those are my two comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hilda's
We
got
got
a question.
Miss John Hills, floor is yours.
Thank you. It'll be quick.
Go for it.
I grew up in a military family, traveled all around the world, and one of the assumptions that we in the United States make is that everybody that speaks another language can read that language. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Assad, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, since we're considering languages, I think it's only fair to include Arabic. Arab-speaking, constituents have a high percentage in Port Orange. If you look at the demographics, you will notice it's probably exceeding, if not comparable to Armenian. So I think if it's only fair if you're going to include Armenian, to consider at this time including Arabic. Thank you.
Well said, I agree. Thank you,
I
Assad.
agree.
Let's see, I have a
Gabriel,
hand.
I have my hand.
Yes,
Wait.
Hilda.
Okay, what I was gonna say is, I agree with Becky. Let's just put all the Spanish, Korean, and Chinese on there. And if you guys want to put Arabic, it's fine. I think we'll be on the safe side. And then since we have time, and if it's gonna cost us money more, just leave it out. Leave the other ones out. I mean, just to be on the safe side, that's all. That's it. It's not gonna hurt anything. You just typed it.
So Spanish, Korean, Chinese, Armenian, Arabic. Is
That's
that
it,
good
yeah.
with everybody?
Get it over with, yeah.
Any objections? Without any objections, let me transfer this over.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
We're
good.
done.
Everybody's happy?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Assad, you have your hand up. Oh, that's from previously. 1 second. Lower hand. All right, any more questions or comments regarding this form that I brought because I had to? With no further objections, we have a second, we have a first, we have a second. Let me call the vote. David Lasher is not here on the board anymore. David Balin,
Yes, approved.
thank you. Hilda?
Gabriel,
Yes.
I have the form here.
That's why, yeah, you fill it out too. I'm just doing it because I have so many notes on my sheet.
Okay, so I don't need to do this?
Just do it, yeah, just piggyback what I'm doing right now. So David's yes, Hilda's yes, Jason,
It's all yes, don't worry, yes.
thank you. Louis,
Yes.
thank you. Becky,
Yeah,
Randy,
Yeah,
thank you. Jennifer is absent. Voss is absent. Christine,
Yes.
thank you. Gabriel, yes, motion passes. Wow, thank you, everyone. Let's go to the last item, item number 20. Christine, you want to make the motion or Becky?
I'll make the motion. To approve the minutes of the June 8th, 2022 meeting draft.
Thank you. I'll make the
Sarah,
second.
Go ahead.
Any comments, questions? All right, call the vote, Becky, please.
Okay, David Balin,
Yes,
Hilda Sarkisian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
I'm gonna abstain. I haven't had a chance to review.
Luis Ramirez.
Yes.
Okay, yes for me. Brandy Grace,
my connection bounced. What are we voting on?
Minutes, June 8th.
Abstain.
abstain. Okay, Jennifer is absent. And Voss is absent. Christine?
Yes.
Okay, and Gabriel?
Yes,
Okay, motion passes.
thank you. Thank you, everyone. And last item, updates from board members and committees. Are there any updates or comments from the board members?
I do.
Go for it. Floor is yours.
I just feel like more of us should participate when we have public community events. It would be nice, even if you're gonna be there for an hour. And this is teamwork. I think we did a wonderful job, but I think it's better if we have more people involved because we're a team. That's all.
Thank you. David?
Amen. to
You know, maybe I missed something, but I wasn't even aware that we were going to have a booth there. So unless we have proper communication to the board that we're going to have a booth there, then we would probably get more participation. That's why I had already signed on with CPAB. So did I miss something?
It was announced multiple times in the previous meeting, as well as emails that went out.
Can you send me the notification? Because I didn't see it, and that was and I was surprised that I saw Becky there. That was the first time I even knew that we were having a booth. So,
Yeah, we had actually, well, at the time that we voted on it originally, and we had discussed and asked who's going to show up there, and you actually said you'll be at the CPAP meeting or at the CPAP booth, but you'll try to make it to our booth.
and I did. All right, good enough. Good night.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah,
All right.
all good.
Thank you. Next meeting is
night.
September 14, 2022, and let's adjourn the meeting at 9:53. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night, y'all.